Chapter 614, 5-Element Rock. Chapter 614, 5-Element Rock. Lu Lin, you three go with Shishio to Hefeng and let Li Chunxing help you get to Luo Yu. I still have to take care of some other stuff with Luo Ying, it'll be a while before I go back. Yimo saw that he was done here and didn't want to stay. If it hadn't been for the trouble in Jutang, he would have already taken Luo Ying to the Duanheng Ranges to find that nun. To him, the most important thing right now was the golden page and where she had gotten her spirit stone from. Since the nun had also guessed that he had the other 2 pages, she probably didn't want to go back to the small world. To her, the most important thing was also having the golden page. He was very badly injured and Luo Ying wasn't strong. Jie Zun didn't know he had a lotus life pill, so she must have thought that she would get them for sure. When she recovered, she would go to the village to find him and Luo Ying. Lu Lin knew that they had to get to Luo Yu as soon as they could. Although Yi Mo was strong, he couldn't stay with them forever. She said gratefully, "Thank you. If it wasn't for you, we would be in peril." Yi Mo smiled, "It's fine. You should leave soon, it's not safe for you to stay in Jutang." Hearing this, Lu Lin hesitated before saying, "Johar got a colorful stone back when he was young. He used to say that stone was very precious, but he didn't know why. He didn't dare let people look at it, fearing it would get unwanted attention. It's in the house. I wanted to give it to you last time you came, but you left so fast that we didn't get a chance. Now it's too late. When we were captured, they took the stone too." Yi Mo waved his hand, "It was just a stone, I heard Johar talk about it too. He said he would give it to me when he got free. Since it's not here, never mind." Yi Mo thought it was at most a precious gemstone, which wasn't much use to him. "Mom, are you talking about the colorful stone that's warm when you hold it in your hand, but sometimes it's also cool?" Yang Yang asked. "What? The stone changes its temperature." Yi Mo intervened before Lu Lin could answer. She looked strangely at Yi Mo and said, "Yes, it's a very eerie stone. What color is it? Does it change color, Tio?" Yi Mo was getting more excited. Lu Lin nodded, "Yes, the stone's color does change indeed. Sometimes, it's just red and white, and then sometimes, red, white and blue. Moreover, in rare occasions it could get to 5 colors. Have you seen this sort of stone before?" Although Yi Mo was very excited, he kept himself calm. He knew it was a 5-element rock. It was a very rare material for artifact forging, even rarer than star jade. It was something used to make spirit artifacts, which were countless times more powerful than magic artifacts. Yi Mo knew that even if he had the rock, he wouldn't be able to make spirit artifacts. If he added a bit of a 5-element rock to ordinary materials, he could make a flying sword. He had been looking for materials to make a flying sword for long, but he had seemed to have ran out of luck. Now that he had found the 5-element rock, he wasn't going to let it go. "How big is that stone? Where did you lose it?" Yi Mo asked. As though she could feel Yi Mo's excitement and desperation, Yi Xiaodai suddenly asked, "Brother Yi, is that stone very important? More precious than a diamond?" Perhaps in her eyes, the most expensive thing in the world was diamond. Yi Mo nodded. An excised 5-element rock was worth a few million spirit stones. Yi Mo had never seen that many, not even in his past life. He really didn't understand how the Earth could have such thing. The only explanation was that it came from asteroids and meteorites. Lu Lin immediately said, "The stone had the size of 2 fists. After our final trial for the case, I knew things weren't going to be that simple. We started packing our things, but before we could leave we were taken away by the Wu Jin Association." "Wu Jin Association?" Yi Mo questioned. There were too many of these small gangs. Wu Jin Association is a rather well-known gang in Hedong province. It wasn't too important before, but due to some reason, the mainland gangs started to decline, so these small gangs rose in power. Shui Guiyang had been working at the police station and knew these things better than everyone else. Lu Lin nodded. "After they took us away, all our belongings remain in their hands. We still haven't gotten them back yet." After understanding the situation, Yi Mo got up and said to Shishio and Shui Guiyang, "You guys can go back to Hefeng first, I'll return once I'm done here." "Brother Yi, should we wait for you and Sister Luo at Hefeng?" Yi Xiaodai asked. Yi Mo smiled, "No need. Try to find a way to get to Luo Yu once you're in Hefeng. I'm busy, I'll go visit you guys to Luo Yu. Yi Mo wanted to send Luo Ying to Luo Yu before he went looking for the 5-element stone. After being aware of the threat that pistol posed, he was sure that Northern Sand could make at least 8 more with the stones they had. Without counting the one he had already dealt with, they had about 7 of them. If something happened to Luo Ying, even if he reached Ascension stage, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Without Luo Ying, he doubted if he would have the will to continue cultivation. After marrying Luo Ying, she was a part of his life. If they managed to make not only a pistol, but also a sniper that was outside his spirit sense range, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. Yi Mo was sure that Northern Sand wasn't going to let him go after suffering such heavy loss. They just didn't have the confidence to take him out anymore. Luo Ying seemed to know what Yi Mo was thinking and touched his face. Ian, I'll wait for you. Didn't you say your sister was at Ninghai? Send me there. Be careful. Yi Mo took out that extreme energy stone pistol and gave it to Luo Ying. Susu, take this pistol. If you're ever in danger, don't give them any chance, just fire. No, no one will know I'm staying in Ninghai. I won't be in danger, so I'd rather you keep this pistol. Luo Ying immediately rejected. He hugged her and said, this pistol can only be used a few times, and I won't use it. You can use it to protect yourself and Bai Wei. I'll come to meet you guys as soon as I get the stone. When he realized that he was going to take Luo Ying to Luo Yu, Yi Mo hesitated. He didn't know if it was the right moment to tell her about Qingxue. Luo Ying could see Yi Mo's hesitance, but she didn't ask. He would tell her what needs to be told. Chapter 615, Wu Jin Association. Chapter 615, Wu Jin Association. Compared to the chaos Beijing was in, the second largest city of China, Jin City, was rather calm. Yet the wealthiest family in the city, the Shen family, wasn't calm at all. Their ancestor was supposedly Wan Shen Wansan, a very famous businessman who, despite being brought down many times, used his great business genius to firmly establish the Shen family. Although they weren't famous to the level of being on the Forbes list, those in the business all knew that the truly wealthy people didn't appear in Forbes anyway. The Shen family was one such family. The reason why the Shen family wasn't calm that particular day was because the leader of the Shen family, Shen Taigong, had died due to illness. According to the rules of the family, the next family leader would be the eldest son of the first wife. There should be no exceptions. Unless the eldest son died, this rule wouldn't change. The eldest son hadn't died yet, so there shouldn't be any discord normally, but the problem was that even though that generation's eldest son hadn't died, he wasn't too different from being dead. Shen Chuyin had been in bed for half a year as a vegetable. The Shen family was a big family, and so, there was discord in the Shen family mansion over the position of family leader. Shen Yin was also from the Shen family. Shen Yin had come back from Hong Kong a while before already, but her auntie Qingkue hadn't come back with her after she got well. She had left Hong Kong alone, and even Shen Yin didn't know where she went, so she was a bit sad. The first thing she did when she got back to Jin City was to report to the family that her auntie had been cured, more precisely by a young man on the plane with runic paper. She told them to find this young man so that he could treat her big uncle. Some people did believe that Qingkue was cured at first, but when Shen Yin said that it was thanks to a young man using charms, no one bothered to talk to her anymore. If her condition had been cured, why didn't she come back to Jin City? They all thought that the reason why Shen Yin said that had to be because she wanted the family to send more money to treat Qingkue. Couldn't the girl come up with a better lie? Shen Yin finally went to find her father, but her father's words made her even more sad. He just told her to try not to get too close to Qingkue and reproached her for her spreading news that runic paper had cured Qingkue. Helplessly, Shen Yin could only find her cousin Shen Feilin to unfreeze the card, but now that Shen Feilin knew that the card was taken by a fraud, he didn't help her. Although it was only a few million, he still didn't want to give it to a fraud. Shen Yin was so desperate that she almost fought Shen Feilin, but the card still wasn't unfrozen in the end. The Shen family members didn't believe her, and no one cared about Auntie Qingkue. Shen Yin felt extremely disappointed, and she finally understood why Auntie Qingkue left the family and didn't want to come back. Meanwhile, Yi Mo sent Luo Ying to Ninghai, and Su Jingwen went to Beijing. Apparently it was her grandfather's birthday. When Tang Beiwei saw Luo Ying, she couldn't help but approve of her brother's eyes. Both of his wives were so pretty. However, she also couldn't help but worry about when the two would meet. How would her brother deal with it? At the same time, she felt bad for Su Jingwen. She was such an excellent girl, yet her brother wasn't interested in her. And the same was true for sister Yun Bing, who often came to visit her. After Yi Mo sent Luo Ying to Ninghai, he made some arrangements and then went back to Jiutang. Although the golden page was important, it's not like he needed it right at that moment. He did need the 5-element rock immediately, though. Wu Jin Association was the biggest gang in Jiutang, but their operations weren't limited to Jiutang. They had branches in almost all of Hedong Province's cities. Blackhead was a part of that network, and his company was just a sub-company of Wu Jin Association. Blackhead had just wanted to use Shishio to earn some money. However, when the Wu Jin Association found out that Shishio had gone to help Li Chunxing, they told him they wanted to kill Shishio. Yet instead, Blackhead was killed. Someone had dared kill Blackhead on their turf. This was outrageous. Wu Jin Association immediately used the most of their gangster-based information network and found out that the person who killed Blackhead came from Beijing and was someone with a license to kill. This made the boss of Wu Jin Association hesitant about getting revenge. If he really went and did something to this person, the government would end up chasing him down. No matter how strong they were just a gang in the end. Although they had a lot of powerful people in the gang, if something like that happened, they might not be able to help him. But if he didn't get revenge, they would lose their name and it would be impossible to keep their strong solidarity. So, Xiong Chenyi gathered all the higher-ups of the gang to have a meeting and discuss how they should get revenge. Brother Xiong, if young Master Hung wasn't injured, we wouldn't have been able to do anything, but since he's injured, I feel like we can do something. Who does that guy think he is, daring to injure young Master Hung? Someone commented. Xiong Chenyi frowned and waved his hand. We will wait a while and see how young Master Hung deals with it. That man is someone with a license to kill after all. We need to be careful. Someone bring that small cop over. Xiong Chenyi already knew that Dai Heng's caretaker had gone to meet the man but left quickly, and then Lu Lin and company all left Jiutang. Yet the man who killed Blackhead along with that beautiful woman was still in the hotel. It seems like that young kid has quite the background. Dai Heng's caretaker went today, yet he didn't take anyone away, which means they reached an agreement. Xiong Chenyi thought for a bit and then said, "Listen to my order. No one is to touch that person." Who was Dai Heng? That cockatoo extreme guy had easily killed a middle-level official. That's how powerful he was, and yet someone like him had his legs broken and still had to suck it up. Soon, the cop was brought over. He was covered in blood, and there was even blood on his head. "Officer Liu, I'll give you one more chance. Tell me how that guy who killed Blackhead is called. What is his background? You might not be afraid of death, but what about your wife? Are you not worried about your wife? I can promise you here and now that if you tell me what that guy is called and what his background is, I won't touch your wife," Xiong Chenyi said. Liu Zhen knew that he was done for and that even if he answered Xiong Chenyi, he would still be going to die. Just when Liu Zhen was about to speak, a voice suddenly appeared in the room. "My name is Yi Mo, and if you're that desperate to get to know me, I'm here. Luckily, it's not too late and everyone is here. Who are you? How did you get in?" Xiong Chenyi got up immediately and looked at Yi Mo in shock. "I walked in." As he said that, Yi Mo kicked 2 hoodlums who had tried to subjugate him away. Xiong Chenyi didn't bother with the 2 hoodlums, but his face changed drastically, and he asked in a shaky voice, "Wait, your name is Yi Mo? Beijing Yi family's Yi Mo?" Chapter 616, Speak. Chapter 616, Speak young Master Mo, we didn't mean to offend you. Why did you come all the way here? Xiong Chenyi got up and said with a pale face. Everyone in the room looked at their big boss in shock. They didn't understand. Even if their boss saw the mayor, he wouldn't be like this. Who was that Yi Mo? Why had their fearless boss gotten so scared? Other people didn't know Yi Mo, but he had heard of him. They said that the Song family had faded away because of a certain Yi Mo, but what made Xiong Chenny fear him the most was that a cruel person had appeared at the Ghost City's hidden sects tournament and his name was Yi Mo. Although he didn't have the right to go to the tournament, they said that Yi Mo was a killing machine. He even dared to fight the legendary hidden sects. Anyone who belonged to the hidden sects could kill whoever stood on their way easily. Yet, Yi Mo could effortlessly beat the hidden sects. Xiong Chenny was an insect next to him. No wonder he dared to kill openly without concerns. Moreover, no wonder he had dared to break Dai Heng's leg, and he hadn't done anything about it. After thinking it through, Xiong Chenny's legs were shaking. Many years had passed since he had been that scared. Not even when he had faced his big boss for the first time as a small cloney, he had been that scared. Seeing Yi Mo approach him, Xiong Chenny no longer dared to stand in front of the seats and walked down quickly saying, "Young Master Mo, please have a seat." Yi Mo sat on the head seat and scanned Xiong Chenny. "I heard you're looking for me, right?" Xiong Chenny's teeth clattered as he said, "No, no, how dare I look for you? Young Master Mo, this is a mistake, just a mistake. Xiao is my friend, and I'm familiar with Lu Lin's family. Yet, your association has been trying to do harm to them recently." Although he could deal with the problem by throwing some wind blades, Yi Mo didn't want to do that. "No, no, that's a misunderstanding. I regret listening to young Master Heng." Although he knew he had offended Yi Mo because of this, he still had a sliver of hope of putting the blame on Dai Heng. Yi Mo knew that Dai Heng had ordered him to do it, but Xiong Chenny was no good person either. He looked at the policeman and said, "Go back and get things ready. Call Li Chunsheng, let him put you in charge of this case and get rid of Wu Jin Association's power in the province. Take this pill and go do this." Liu Zhun was dazed for a while after hearing this. He was getting a promotion. With Li Chunsheng by his side, what couldn't he do? He quickly took the pill and walked outside. Telling the police to investigate Wu Jin Association right at their base was more than a slap in the face. "FCK. Who are you? You dare dash Wu Jin Association?" was a big gang and there were quite a lot of people who weren't afraid of death. But the man who just spoke couldn't finish speaking. He was shot dead in the forehead by Yi Mo. "This is the last bullet." Yi Mo looked at the gun and shook his head. This thing didn't need Kai, it was quite convenient. Xiong Chenny's expression kept changing. He knew that Yi Mo was very strong, but it was too insulting. He had almost knelt down, yet Yi Mo still told the police in his face to have the province committee annihilate their power. Should he keep enduring this? He had to. He knew how powerful someone who could beat the hidden sects was. F***CK, brothers, let's go and kill this bitch. Seeing that Yi Mo was going to kill them all, Xiong Chenny was scared, but there were some people who weren't. The vice leader had been unhappy with his ruling for a long time. It was his chance to bring Xiong Chenny down. With his call, more than half of the 20 or so members pulled out their swords. Xiong Chenny saw his men go up, but he didn't move nor stop them. He had the slight hope that he had heard wrong about Yi Mo. Yi Mo smiled and threw some wind blades. He really wasn't interested in fighting these people. In the blink of an eye, these men were all killed. Although there weren't any dismembered bodies, Yi Mo's wind blades had aimed accurately into their hearts, causing a bloodbath. The air had the smell of blood. From the uproar to the massacre, there had been only a few seconds, and then everything turned calm. The remaining people's faces were pale. They usually saw a lot of blood, some had even killed before, but they'd never seen someone like Yi Mo, just killing tens of people a handwave. Xiong Chenny got more frightened. He didn't think someone who cultivated ancient martial arts could reach such a superhuman level. What shook him the most was how calm Yi Mo was when slaughtering the men. Then, scene fell into silence. Yi Mo didn't talk either. He saw a fat man running inside with desperation. The man pushed open the door and before he noticed the situation, he said, "Brother Xiong, the higher-ups are sending people to investigate the Wu Jin Association." He finally realized that things weren't right. The floor was covered with dead bodies, and other than the man sitting at the top, everyone had a pale face and shaky legs. "What's going on?" The fat man stopped walking. He wanted to retreat. "Who are you? You came to notify the Wu Jin Association?" Yi Mo glanced at the fat man. The fat man glanced at Xiong Chenny. who was staring at the ground, he immediately knew things weren't going well. He saw the gun in Yimo's hand and didn't dare retreat. He said loudly, "I'm the police chief of Jutang, what's going on here?" Yimo shook his head. If the fat man hadn't come, he really wouldn't have bothered going, but since he came, he didn't need to go at all. He would save some trouble for Li Chunxing, and without thinking, he threw a wind blade over. He knew that killing a police chief would bring some trouble to Li Chunxing, but the Dai and Qiu family were already concerned about Yimo. If Li Chunxing still couldn't deal with it, there was no use in him staying in the political scene. He stared at Xiong Qianni and asked, "You captured Lu Lin's family, right?" Seeing that Yimo dared to even kill a police chief, Xiong Qianni's heart went ice cold. He said shakily, "Yes, but we didn't treat them with disrespect." Yimo continued asking, "She had some things in her house. Did you take them too? Where are they?" "I don't know about this. Baosheng is the one responsible for these matters." Xiong Qianni looked at his number one man. Baosheng was usually the one abusing people, but he finally got a taste of his own medicine. The only difference was that although he was scared, his eyes kept turning. There was a colorful stone. "Where is it? Speak." When Yimo claimed the last word, he slammed the table. Chapter 617, Chase. Chapter 617, Chase. Yes, I'll speak. I threw away most things, but I did sell such a stone. Baosheng saw Yimo's face turn very ugly and immediately understood that Yimo was looking for that stone. He didn't dare hide anything. That stone was colorful and sometimes changed colors. "I took it to Gembana and the boss there, Boss Luo, bought it for 8 million. "What?" Xiong Qianni didn't believe his ears. Even the association itself couldn't easily earn 8 million, yet his most loyal man had actually secretly sold that stone for that much. Xiong Qianni's face was getting worse, but he soon remembered the situation he was in. His life might be as good as over, why would he care about his men's loyalty? Yimo got up and said coldly to Baosheng, "Take me to that Gembana right now." Then he Xiong Qianni a cold look. Xiong Qianni's heart quenched. He was sure he was done for. The slaughter god in front of him gave him a look right before leaving. This meant he was going to die for sure. Thinking like that, Xiong Qianni took out a dagger and quickly cut 2 of his own fingers off. He originally wanted to cut off his whole wrist but in the end couldn't do it. Yimo spoke calmly, "When that cop brings people to disassemble Wu Jin Association, you know what to do. If you don't want to cooperate, you can try and run, but I don't think you can run faster than Qian Longtu. Young Master Mo, I wouldn't dare to. I will wait for Officer Liu to come, and I will cooperate with him to pull out Wu Jin Association from its roots." Xiong Qianni's face was pale because of the pain, but he didn't dare say no to Yimo. He knew that Yimo wasn't killing him only because he wanted him to help completely take out Wu Jin Association. Concerning Qian Longtu, he had indeed heard that he had also died in Yimo's hands. Compared to Qian Longtu, Xiong Qianni was worth less than his nail. As for Baosheng, he was very devious and had killed many people. Before joining Wu Jin Association, he once raped and killed 2 university girls, yet even though he had no significant background or money, he was still fine. From this, one could see the level of his cunning. Compared to Xiong Qianni, Baosheng was far better at scheming. In fact, ever since Baosheng joined Wu Jin Association, he had constantly been thinking about replacing Xiong Qianni. So after bringing Yimo to Gembana, he was thinking of how to escape. Should he cut his fingers like Xiong Qianni or something? As Baosheng brought Yimo to the door, Yimo stopped and looked at the confused Baosheng. "You've killed quite a lot, right?" Baosheng didn't expect Yimo to ask him such an irrelevant question. No. His first reaction was to deny. "You can stay here and guard the door," Yimo said, but then he soon threw a backhanded wind blade before leaving. Baosheng clutched his throat and was in disbelief. Why did Yimo kill him at that time? Didn't he just want him to show him the way? Baosheng was unsatisfied, but he suddenly came to understand something as he fell over. Yimo had wanted to give him hope and then kill him immediately after. Yimo had wanted to torture him. A gust of hatred rose in his soul, and he cursed, "Yi, even in death I will make sure you don't live well." Yimo knew that since this Gembana place had spent a few million to buy the stone, They knew the stone's worth. He might not be able to buy it back with money, but if he couldn't, he would just have to steal it. But he couldn't let Gembana know who he was. If they knew something about him that would make them suspect him and they had his photo, that would be embarrassing. Before he entered Gembana, Yimo disguised himself as an ugly, bearded man. He even fabricated a knife scar on his face. He chose such a look to appear more threatening. Gembana was China's biggest organization for trading jade and antiques, and they had shops all over the world, so Yimo found it really quickly. "Is Boss Luo here?" Yimo asked while scanning the shop with his spirit sense. He had a bad feeling right after, because there was no colorful rock to be found. "Wait a moment, I will call him for you." As one girl saw Yimo's ferocious look, she immediately called Boss Luo. Not long after, an old man came in and asked, "Which friend is looking for me?" The man was in his 60s. "I am, because I have some private things to ask Boss Luo about," Yimo replied simply. "No problem, I'm Luo Yu. I'll tell you whatever I know." Luo Yu could also tell that Yimo was no good guy and tried to avoid offending him. So Yimo straight up asked, "Boss Luo, a few days ago Wujing Association's Baosheng apparently sold a colorful rock in this shop, is that the case?" Hearing this, Luo Yu's heart skipped. He had bought the stone from Baosheng rather cheaply, yet now after quite a few days, someone came looking for it. Seeing Luo Yu not speak, Yimo sneered, "Baosheng stole something of mine, and I've dealt with him already, so don't try to play tricks with me, Boss Luo. Or else, don't blame me for getting rough." Hearing this, Luo Yu's back went cold. He knew who Baosheng was all too clear, yet such a person had been dealt with by this bearded man. Although Gembana didn't have to be afraid of someone like him, they did proper business, so it really wouldn't be good to have this become an incident. The people nearby heard that Wu Jin Association was involved and quickly left. This Luo Yu thought for a bit and started speaking. "Gembana is an upright business, but friend, you're right, a few days ago I did indeed buy a colorful rock. However, we only care about the quality of the product, we don't care about its origin." Yimo sneered, "Oh, if you don't care about the origin of things, that means your place is a good place for selling off dirty goods." "Friend, you can't say that. Baosheng said that the rock had a clean origin, and of course we can't investigate that. Gembana is just a simple shop, we can't investigate every customer. If we did, there would be no need for us to think about doing business." Luo Yu was worried. If it wasn't for Yimo looking so ferocious, he wouldn't even have said that much. Yimo didn't want to waste time talking to this Luo Yu. He just had to know where it was. From Luo Yu's tone, it would seem the shop knew the value of the stone, so Yimo just had to find where it had been sent to and buy it as soon as possible, and if that wasn't possible, he would steal it. Thinking like this, Yimo just said, "I don't want to have to say anything else. Just tell me where the stone is now." Hearing this, Luo Yu breathed a sigh of relief. It's been shipped to the Gembana in Jin City, and in a few days, it will appear in an auction as the final prod. Before Luo Yu could finish, Yimo had already disappeared. He needed to get to Jin City right away. If the 5-element rock was sold, how would he find it? He had to get it before it was sold. Chapter 618, Despair. Chapter 618, Despair. After leaving Jutang, Yimo went to Jin City as soon as he could. The Gembana in Jin City was located in an antique store street. When Yimo got there, he almost thought he had come back to Luo Yu Continent's cultivation cities. The structures there were more and more ancient, and there were quite a lot of roadside stalls. He looked at this familiar yet unknown street and lost his mind for a moment. Yimo found Gembana quickly. He had heard Boss Luo say that the boss surname was Pan Sheng. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s, slightly fat. This shop was much bigger than the one in Jutang. They had everything. Yimo scanned with his spirit sense carefully, but he was immediately disappointed. The 5-element rock wasn't in there either. "Is Boss Pan here? I have to talk with him about business." Yimo went inside and asked. A bearded man with a ferocious-looking knife scar had come in yelling, and this immediately made everyone move away. "Hello, sir, our boss is out for a business meeting. He will be back tomorrow afternoon," a young man in his 20s answered. He knew that kind of people could be looking for trouble, so it was best not to leave any excuse for them to start a fight. But Yi Mo wasn't looking for trouble. Even knowing that Pan Sheng wasn't there, he had still asked. He was disappointed. He just had to know where the 5-element rock was. With his means, he could take it away easily. Seeing the ferocious man leave the establishment, the waiter breathed at ease. Although they had their own security guard, he didn't want the customer he was taking care of to get into a fight with the security. In his boredom, Yi Mo called Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue to tell them he was at Jin City. He would return in a while, so he then started to stroll around on the antique street. He was trying to decide whether he should find a place to stay for the night. He scanned his spirit sense and saw a large crowd huddling around a small square. It was a stone betting square. They were betting stone. Yi Mo wasn't interested in that. After all, no matter how good the jade was, it wasn't anything to him. The money he would earn wouldn't be worth it. The only use Yi Mo could give to jade was to set formations, but the effects weren't that good either. Just when he was about to leave, he saw a familiar figure in a corner. Soon, Yi Mo recognized that person. It was Xu Wei. Why was she there? She looked very stressed and seemed to be crying. Had she lost a stone in a bet? Xu Wei was a good person and he owed her a favor. She had been looking after his silver heart grass for a long time and she had stayed with Ning Qingxue for a long time. He was very grateful to her, so Yi Mo went to say hi. Hey, beautiful lady, why are you crying here by yourself? He wanted Xu Wei to lighten up. Huh? Who are you? Xu Wei looked at Yi Mo and quickly took a few steps back. Yi Mo subconsciously touched his face and smiled bitterly. Everyone stared at Yi Mo and then at Xu Wei, and they assumed he had bad intentions. But people would rather avoid trouble, so they quickly left. Yi Mo smiled bitterly, walked up to Xu Wei and whispered, Xu Wei, I'm Yi Mo. I'm wearing a mask right now, the beard is fake. There were people hunting me, so I'm hiding. You are Yi Mo? Xu Wei looked at Yi Mo in disbelief. He could only say, we lived together in that small house in Ninghai, did you forget? You really are Yi Mo. Xu Wei finally believed him. She could recognize his voice. Yi Mo nodded. Why did you leave Ninghai? I didn't expect to see you here. Did something happen to you? Xu Wei suddenly started to cry again. She just wanted to go into Yi Mo's arms and weep. He looked awkwardly at everyone who looked at him in contempt. He could only say in a small voice, don't cry, otherwise people will think I'm doing something to you. What is it? Tell me. Xu Wei finally stopped crying and told him the reason. Her mother and brother were living in Jin City. Her mother had been staying at the hospital for more than a year, so she had no option but to give up her job at Ninghai and come take care of her mother. Her mother needed large amounts of money, and her brother needed money to study too. The family didn't have enough, so her father and she had to work really hard in Jin City. However, her father's taxi was involved in a car accident and her father was blamed. They were told to pay 80,000 as compensation. 80,000 wasn't enough for her mother's sickness, but the situation just got worse then. Her brother got into a fight with someone and beat them severely, and the person asked for 100,000 as compensation. Her brother was still at the police station while they spoke. Just when she didn't know what to do, her friend from college Xia Fangfang found her. They were pretty close and in that moment of helplessness, her opinion was very important to Xu Wei. Xia Fangfang suggested that Xu Wei could go to bet stone to the antique street. If she bought a stone with good jade inside, she could become a billionaire. Xu Wei listened to this, gathered all the money she had, around 120k, and followed Xia Fangfang to this place. Under the instructions of someone who her friend had introduced, her 120k were thrown into the water. In her despair, Xu Wei was crying in the toilet when she heard Xia Fangfang's conversation with someone else. The person was telling Xia Fangfang that her classmate was too poor and the money she had was too little, that it was a waste of her time. It was then when Xu Wei realized that Xia Fangfang was conspiring with someone to cheat her. Xu Wei was sad, she had nothing else left. She wanted to find Xia Fangfang, but she had been looking for a few days and she was nowhere to be seen. Her mother was running out of money at the hospital and her brother was still counting on her for the bail money. Xu Wei knew no one in Jin City and couldn't borrow from anyone either. In her sadness, She had only left to cry there. Emo heard this and shook his head. She could even scam her friend, what else was she capable of doing? Xia Fangfang's character was undoubtedly a big load of trash. How much money do you have left? Emo thought and asked. 200 left, Xu Wei sniffed and said. He knew Xu Wei was strong-willed and had great self-esteem, so he didn't want to lend her money. It would put a lot of pressure on her. Xu Wei, if you trust me, take your 200 and come bet stone with me, Emo smiled. He felt it wasn't easy to make that sullen girl go back to her happy self. Xu Wei was the first person he had known here. She looked at him and said, Emo, I only have 200. How could I bet? Emo smiled. 200 means that there are 200 ways of betting. Follow me. Emo took Xu Wei into the crowd. He scanned their surroundings. The cheapest was $500, but they were all empty. Chapter 619, Betting on Garbage. Chapter 619, Betting on Garbage. Emo took Xu Wei to a middle-aged man sitting on some rocks. Looking at his gambling addict look, Emo was speechless. No matter how rich you were, if you didn't know how to bet on these rocks, you would lose everything. Betting rocks was very exciting but also very brutally realistic. When you bet, everyone comes to watch you, but when you lose, no one pities you, and they just leave to watch the next person. When you win, however, people envy you. In fact, perhaps those people who bet rocks enjoy those envious and shocking looks the most. Emo walked over and patted the man's shoulder. Friend, are these pebbles yours? Can you sell one to me? The man looked at Emo in confusion. These are waste rocks that I opened up. Why do you want them? If you want one, just take it. Thank you, but I don't like taking people's things for free. How about this? I'll buy one for $200. Then, Emo signaled Xu Wei to give her last 200 to this man. In the eyes of this man, $200 wasn't even something he would bother picking up from the ground, but he understood that betting rocks always needed to involve an exchange. He didn't think much of it and nodded. Then, he stood up. All right, I must try one last time. If I still lose, then I'll stop today. Emo picked up a pebble, which he had scanned before. There was some green jade inside, but it was small, and thus the man didn't find it. This sort of thing probably happened often. Unless you had spirit sense, you would never be able to find out. Seeing Emo buy a pebble for $200, everyone shook their head. If it wasn't for the fact that that middle-aged man was so well off, people would have thought that Emo was conspiring with that middle-aged man to trick Xu Wei. Xu Wei looked at Emo's stone worriedly. Emo, is this stone useful? Of course, open it. Emo took the stone to the place meant for opening stones. Who can help me open this stone? Emo said, and everyone just looked at him. No one wanted to reply. Who would want to open a useless rock? There were certain customs to the gambling, one of which said that if you opened a rock and it contained jade, it made you lucky. However, Emo looked ferocious and didn't seem like a good person. What if he blamed the stone being empty on you? Brother, you don't need to open this stone, there's nothing inside for sure. I, on the other hand, found a top grade, or this time for sure it's black on the outside, there must be something good inside. I just found it, watch me open it later, the middle-aged man said. Emo looked at the stone he was pointing at and knew it was an empty one again. He pointed at a fresh-looking rock and said, you might as well buy that one, there's something inside there. The one you're pointing at is empty, and the other one is much cheaper too, being only 100k. The middle-aged man had helped him, so he helped him back. But as soon as Emo said this, there was ridicule all around. Even Xu Wei pulled Emo back a bit. Brother, are you okay? That one doesn't even have a shell, it's clearly a new rock. If it wasn't that it's so big, it wouldn't even be able to sell for 100k. Brother, you're even worse than me in looking at rocks. The middle-aged man shook his head. Emo smiled and didn't say anything else. He took out the $200 pebble and asked, who can help me open this? I will pay you $500. I'll do it, as long as you keep your word. A shabby-looking man walked over. No one was surprised when this man came out. Everyone there knew that he was called Hu Duatsai. He was someone who opened rocks, but since he had never opened a rock with jade for anyone, he was clearly very shabby. Even the boss didn't want to really use him for opening rocks. There was a rule in the business that if you opened a rock and found jade, as the person who opened it, you would get a tip. Yimo didn't care about the man's supposed lack of luck, but in order to definitely grasp this opportunity, Huduatsai actually said, "Don't worry, my technique is top grade." Okay, open it then. No need to ask me anything until you get all the jade out, Yimo said. Huduatsai took the rock from Yimo's hand and immediately began to work, fearing that Yimo would regret. Huduatsai didn't fully realize what Yimo's words implied, but everyone else did. This knife scar guy was pretty cruel, wasn't he? He was implying that Huduatsai had to keep opening up the rock until there was jade, but what if there was no jade? Some people wanted to remind Huduatsai, but looking at Yimo's ferocious look, they didn't want to get into trouble. Yimo, I don't have $500. Shu Wei pulled Yimo to the side. Don't worry, you don't need to, just deduct it from the jade's earnings, Yimo said. Huduatsai knew there was going to be nothing in the rock, so he cut right from the middle and didn't even bother cutting it carefully. Yimo shook his head. The guy had said his skills were top grade, yet this one slice had already cut a bit of the jade. Huh. It's green, bright green, it's good stuff. And Huduatsai cut a bit off, it's an ice-type jade. No one remembered they had laughed at Yimo before, as they were all just looking at the jade in Huduatsai's hand. Huduatsai knew that due to his negligence, a bit of the jade had been cut off. He began to sweat. He didn't expect there to really be jade inside. What if the man asked him for compensation? Hurry up and cut it all out. If this happens again, I'll let someone else do it. Yimo saw that Huduatsai was dazed, so he reproached him. Yes, boss, this won't happen again. Then, he began to carefully take out the jade. He didn't expect Yimo to be so easygoing, though. That had been completely his fault. Luckily, he reacted fast, and his skills were actually quite good. In a short while, he had completely cut out an ice jade. It really is ice jade. It's very high purity, and the green is very dense. A jade like that would be worth almost 200k. That middle-aged man also looked at Yimo in shock. Suddenly he felt that he should have listened to Yimo. If Yimo could find jade in his leftovers, he must be extremely capable. I'll take that jade, 200k, a woman said. This was a woman in her early 30s, and she looked not bad, mainly because she knew how to dress well. She looked very seductive, but in a high-class way. She also had a bodyguard by her side. Yimo frowned. He didn't like the smell of the woman. It was all chemical perfume. He didn't like that, he preferred the natural smell from Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue. 200k? Shu Wei was stunned. She had made 200k from $200. This was too easy. Yimo didn't know the worth of this jade and thought it should only be worth that much, so he tossed it to the woman. It's yours, cash or check will do. The woman had seen Yimo frown and thought he wasn't happy with the price, but just when she wanted to say something, Yimo tossed the jade to her as though not even caring if it would break on the ground. Chapter 620, One Last. Chapter 620, One Last. Yimo, let's go, I already have 200k. I think I can bail my brother out of jail with this. Shu Wei didn't want to waste the money there. Yimo waved his hand. Wait, this is just the beginning. We need to keep going and buy some more expensive ones. Shu Wei hadn't realized that Yimo might be unsatisfied with just that. Brother, you probably want the rock you suggested me. Now, even the middle-aged man looked differently at Yimo. Yimo smiled and shook his head. That one isn't up to my standards. The man was at a loss for words. He had suggested him something that wasn't up to his own standard. Yimo patted him and smiled. Don't worry, I'm simply saying that the jade inside is worth at most 1 or 2 million. That's not enough for me. Huh. Everyone was dazed this time. He could get 1 or 2 million for 100k, but he still didn't think it was enough. Who did that guy think he was? If he hadn't found jade in discarded rocks, people would be looking down on him again. The woman heard Yimo's words and rolled her eyes. She suddenly said, Since Big Brother isn't satisfied with such a small amount of money, I'll take that rock. Then, she signaled the man next to her, who looked like her bodyguard, to buy the rock. Yimo's impression of the woman changed. She hadn't assumed he was bluffing like everyone else and bought the one he suggested. She wasn't a simple person. Although 100k wasn't much, it was still money, but she actually spent it just because of a stranger's words. She had brains. A few other people were also interested in buying it, but they weren't as fast as the woman and also feared that Yimo was a fraud. Yimo then said to Huoduotsai, "Follow me, I still have more jade for you to open." "Yes, boss." Huoduotsai could also tell that Yimo was someone who was truly capable. Looking around, Yimo was speechless. Although there were a lot of rocks there, not many contained jade, and much less good quality jade. He pointed at a 200k piece of rock and said, "This one has the best jade for the price of 200k. He bought it quickly and the rock was in Huoduotsai's hand again. The middle-aged man lost again, so he started to believe in Yimo's words and he stopped buying rocks. He decided to follow Yimo instead. Many people started to look favorably at Yimo and all circulated around him. The woman was also watching them. Yimo saw that Huoduotsai was cutting it very carefully, so he just drew a line and told him to cut from there. Huoduotsai followed Yimo's words without hesitation and he sliced right where Yimo was pointing. A bright and eye-catching green was exposed to everyone's eyes. Yellow-green, that's at least a few millions. When it came out, everyone yelled out in shock. 5 million. I'll take it. People immediately started naming prices. Although the full price might not just be that, Yimo didn't want to keep wasting time. Just when he was about to sell it, the woman said, "I'll pay 8 million. Deal." Yimo immediately told Shu Wei to give her bank details to the woman. The woman was straightforward and transferred the money immediately. Shu Wei was in a daze. She had suddenly gotten 8 million, but Yimo pulled her away. "Are we leaving?" Shu Wei asked. Yimo smiled, "There's one more, after this we'll leave." Yimo looked at a huge rock on the left side. It was the size of a tall man. Its price was 6 million. While Yimo was buying this stone, the woman completely opened the rock Yimo had sold her. She had hit the jackpot. It was at least a few million. Moreover, the one Yimo had given her before had also been opened. It was a jade fetus worth almost 2 million. Everyone gasped for air. Who was that bearded man? How was he that powerful? He had a 100% success rate. Everyone was paying attention to the rock he had bought for 6 million. Also, that young woman had become the second person who had earned the most that day. Shu Wei had calmed down a bit, but her heart was still skipping fast. The stone Yimo had bought had been there for almost a year, but because it was too expensive, the boss had lowered it from 10 million to 8 million. Still, no one wanted it, so they lowered the price to 6 million. Finally, someone bought it this time and it was a legendary rock gambler. More and more people gathered in the square. Among them there were many wealthy men and bosses. They had all heard that there was a legendary happening taking place there. A bearded man had taken a simply dressed girl to bet and they hadn't lost once. They started with $200, and now their earnings were worth more than 10 millions now. Everyone was waiting to see if the rock contained jade. Everyone wanted to see if the legend would be even more incredible. Huoduotsai was also shaking. He had never received that much attention. After this, even if he didn't get paid, there would be a lot of people asking him to open rocks. Under Yimo's guidance, Huoduotsai cut the rock in the middle. The crowd was in a frenzy. It was as though the jade was theirs. There was a large piece of green where Huoduotsai had cut open. The green was very pleasant to the eye. People had never seen such a luscious green before. It was almost crystal clear. One cut. It had been just one cut and there it was, a large pack of green. There was no **T, no rubbing. The cut was incredibly clean. It was impossible for Huoduotsai to not have become famous. My God, is that emerald? If it's emerald, how much is this big piece worth? But Yimo knew there wasn't much left underneath. He decided not to continue. If he sold it now, he could save money and get a good price. The woman looked at the emerald and gasped. She wanted to buy it, but she knew she didn't have enough money. Due to a limited resource of emerald lately, Her finances were in a difficult situation. However, she believed that her business could open up soon with that bearded man's help. "Friend, I'll take it for 50 million, a man who had just gotten there named a price without thinking. "Boss Zheng, you're taking for yourself such a good thing." "I don't think that's appropriate," another fat man squeezed through the crowd. "Okay, old pan, let's buy it half-half." Although he wanted it all for himself, that thing was too rare and everyone who was in the same industry there knew each other. He couldn't overstep the boundaries. Chapter 621, Fighting to be Friends. Chapter 621, Fighting to be Friends. 60 million. "If you agree, it's yours." "Oh, and give a 100k check to Huduotsai," Emo said. Although the jade would be getting thinner as the rock was opened, it would still be worth around 70 to 80 million. He just didn't want to waste time. Huduotsai was dazed. He only cut a few slices and got 100k, this was too simple. Deal. Once again, money was added to Xu Wei's bank account, and this time it was 60 million. When Yimo pulled Xu Wei out from the crowd, Xu Wei finally reacted and wanted to give her card to Yimo. Yimo had earned that money, she couldn't take it. Even if she was short on money, she could just borrow some from Yimo. Yimo pushed the card back in her hands and said, "Xu Wei, I'm clearly pretty capable, right?" Xu Wei nodded without hesitation. Yimo was like a god, he had won every single time. Seeing this, Yimo smiled, "With my capabilities, how could I be short on money? Why would I care about 60 million? To be honest, I'm richer than Bill Gates right now. I have tens of billions readily available." If it were before, Xu Wei would think that Yimo was bluffing, but now she knew that Yimo wasn't. Otherwise, how could he win 60 million for her in just 3 hours? But, Xu Wei understood, but that amount of money was still too much for her. "Don't have a mental burden. You paid for the bets, and I was just helping you. You've helped me a lot in Ninghai, so it's normal that I help you too," Yimo comforted her. Xu Wei wasn't dumb. Since Yimo was that rich, why did he go through the hassle to use her $200 to bet? He could easily give her tens of millions, but he didn't. He had done it like that precisely so that she wouldn't have a mental burden. Yimo was about to ask about her mother when that middle-aged man ran over and gave Yimo a golden name card. "Brother, you're really amazing, my respect for you is." Yimo shivered in cringe and quickly stopped the man from talking. He took the card and realized that the man was called Hudan, and he was the CEO of a company. No wonder he was so rich. Hudan. This name was really interesting. It sounded like protecting egg in Chinese. Xu Wei thought of something and said, "Yimo, can you come with me to the police station? My brother, Xu Bingwu, is still locked up, so I need to bail him out." Hudan quickly said, "Is your brother in the city department or some branch department? Also, why did he get locked up? He beat someone and didn't have the money to compensate them." "He's locked up in the Yanghai branch," Xu Wei said. "Don't worry, I'll make a call." Hudan immediately called the police chief of Yanghai department and exchanged a few sentences with him before hanging up. He then looked at the worried Xu Wei. "Your brother has been released. As for the compensation, I've told an old friend to help you pay for it, so don't worry." "Heh." Xu Wei reacted quickly and was going to give the money to Hudan. Hudan waved his hand, "It's just a small favor, don't worry about it. I didn't listen to your boyfriend before, and I lost indeed. It was my luck to meet someone like your boyfriend." Then, Hudan turned to Yimo and asked, "By the way, brother, do you have a business card?" Xu Wei blushed and wanted to start explaining, but she didn't. She actually really wanted to know what Yimo's situation was and whether he was with Ning Qingxue. Hudan was a bit desperate. He didn't want to pass by a master like Yimo. Yimo smiled. "Sorry, brother Hu, I don't have a name card, but you can just call me Yimo. I'll give you my number, but my phone is usually turned off." "No problem, no problem." Hudan knew that someone as magical as this must have a lot of rules. It was already very lucky that he could get his number. Hudan quickly noted down the number and said, "Brother Yi, how about eating together? It's my treat." Yimo didn't mind as he didn't have anything else to do that day. Just when he wanted to ask Xu Wei, another voice interrupted, "Brother Yi, I was hoping to talk to you." Luckily, you haven't left yet. I remembered your number too, I hope you don't mind. I'm Luo Zillion, by the way, and thanks to you, I earned big today. Would I have the honor of eating with you? Then, Luo Zillion also passed a name card over. The name card was very exquisite. Sister Zillion, I've already invited Brother Yi, so how about next time, Hu Dan quickly said. Shu Wei, what about you? Yimo looked at Shu Wei. I want to go to the hospital to see my mother. I'm worried about her, Shu Wei said. Hearing this, Hu Dan immediately said, Sister Shu Wei, which hospital is your mother in? Tell me, I'll get a good room for her right away. Yanghai District's Kanghai Hospital, Shu Wei answered subconsciously. Brother Hu, no need for you to call, I will take care of it. My uncle is the vice director of that hospital. Luo Zillion finally had the chance to show herself, how could she let Hu Dan take it? Thus, she quickly called before Hu Dan could even reply. After she spoke a few words, Shu Wei's mother was sent to the VIP room. How about this, Brother Hu, you arrange a place and go there first, while I'll go with Shu Wei to see her mother in the hospital first and then come later. Yimo knew that Shu Wei wouldn't feel assured without seeing her mother first. Okay, I'll wait for you in Teng Wang restaurant. Hu Dan arranged the place before Luo Zillion this time. Luo Zillion rolled her eyes and could only ask for Shu Wei's number. Hu Dan couldn't do this though, because if Shu Wei was Yimo's girlfriend, that would be inappropriate. Yimo knew that Luo Zillion was no simple person. She had come over later not because she found him only then, but because she was making her bodyguard warn those hoodlums who wanted to follow Yimo. This Luo Zillion clearly had no simple origin, so those hoodlums didn't dare say anything and left. After the two left and fetched a taxi, Shu Wei fell into silence and said, Yimo, thank you for today. Yimo smiled, I already said you don't need to be like that. I feel relieved that I saw you today. I said I would treat you to dinner in the past but never had the chance to. Shu Wei suddenly felt lightened up and smiled, then how about I treat you tomorrow? Like that you will owe me twice, and I will feel a sense of accomplishment that way. Yimo smiled, if nothing sudden happens, I will be leaving Jin City tomorrow. Do you miss Sister Qingxue? Shu Wei suddenly asked. Yimo nodded, yes, very, so I want to go back. Seeing Shu Wei fall into silence, Yimo said, I'll go see your mother soon. I can cure most normal diseases. You do? Shu Wei looked at Yimo in shock. Yimo nodded, yes, that time when I was taking a shift for you, I cured an old man named Shuo. You've heard about that, right? What, that magical doctor was you? Back then, a magical doctor cured a patient in a lethal condition but was never found again. So that was Yimo. Shu Wei got excited. If that had really been Yimo, then her mother would be cured. Of course it was me. Yimo thought of what he had done for mere tens of thousands of dollars and sighed. Stop the car. Shu Wei suddenly told the driver to stop and charged out. Shu Wei walked up to a blooded youth, which Yimo guessed had to be her brother. Wasn't he just released? Why was he fighting again? Yimo left behind $100 and quickly followed. Chapter 622, Don't Want to Be Cheated. Chapter 622, Don't Want to Be Cheated. Yimo saw they were at the gate of the Jing City University and he could guess it was where her brother was studying. Xiao Wu, why are you fighting someone again? Shu Wei went to help Shu Bingwu, who was covered in blood, get up. The young man said hatefully, I wasn't fighting. When he saw Yimo approaching, he stopped speaking. Yimo examined the young man. He only had external injuries, they looked serious, but they were no big deal. There was a lot of blood because his forehead was bleeding. Yimo, this is my brother, Shu Bingwu. Shu Wei, this is my friend, you can call him Brother Yi. Shu Wei was very soft when speaking with Yimo, but she talked very seriously to her brother. At the same time she spoke, she took out a piece of cloth to cover the young man's head. Shu Bingwu studied Yimo, who really didn't look good. He frowned and glanced at Shu Wei before forcing himself to utter a Brother Yi. He seemed to be scared of Shu Wei. What's going on? Shu Wei asked. Shu Bingwu hesitated before saying, I was just released from the police station and wanted to come to university because I was worried about Mom. On the way, I met a classmate. She saw me walking, so she told me to get on and drove me here. Mom is in the hospital. Why did you come to university? And since your classmate brought you here, how did you even start fighting? Xu Wei reproached. Xu Bingwu looked down and said, I have some money in my room. I wanted to buy some bones and make a soup for Mom. And, sister, I don't want to keep studying. I want to find a job. When Xu Wei heard this, her eyes turned red. She patted Xu Bingwu's head and said, I will take care of Mum's things. You're not allowed to say such words again. Study hard, don't get into fights again. I didn't start a fight. My friend brought me to the university gate, but her friend saw us. He thought there was something between us and came up to hit me, Xu Bingwu said. Xu Wei's face turned red of anger. These people are so shameless. Why didn't your classmate explain things? She dropped me off at the entrance and went inside, so she didn't see anything, Xu Bingwu said. Then couldn't you explain that Xu Wei stopped halfway? She knew that she couldn't blame her brother. Men needed to keep face. He would lose face if he tried to explain things immediately. And looking at how Xu Bingwu was acting, he might have been interested in that classmate. She sighed and said, okay, let's get you patched up at the hospital and then get something to eat. You don't need to worry about our situation anymore. I earned some money, you should just focus on studying. Then, she laughed awkwardly looking at Yimo Punk, you haven't left yet? If I see you talk to Xiao Yin again, I will break your mouth. 3 young men walked out of the supermarket and came over. Xu Wei saw that these men wouldn't let go of her brother, so she was about to reproach them when someone else said, Wei Qian, what do you mean? Yimo looked at the girl who had just spoken, and he happened to know her. It was that very annoying Xiao Yin from the plane. He had cured her mother, but she kept on saying he was a fraud. Did you hit Xu Bingwu? Wei Qian, how can you be so shameless? So what if I talk to my classmate? Who are you? Do you think I can't live without your little support? You piece of trash. Wei Qian was sworn speechless. But Xiao Yin wasn't done yet. She started calling the police. Xiao Yin, the young man's expression turned bad, but he didn't dare refute. He knew she was right. The Shun family could easily destroy a jewelry merchant's son. Don't call me that. The girl finished the call and then said to Xu Bingwu, sorry, Xu Bingwu, I just wanted to help you. I didn't think you end up meeting scum like him. Oh, it's fine. Shun Yin, this is my sister Xu Wei, and this is my sister's friend, Yimo. Xu Bingwu pointed at them as he spoke. He was very uneasy in front of Shun Yin. Hearing this, Shun Yin started to study Yimo without blinking. Xu Wei and Xu Bingwu looked strangely at Shun Yin. Yimo was very ferocious and ugly-looking in that moment. How could Shun Yin be so interested in Yimo? Xu Bingwu felt a bit bitter. He was much better than Yimo in terms of age and looks. Why had Shun Yin noticed Yimo as soon as she saw him? Are you really called Yimo? Shun Yin suddenly asked after having studied him for a while. She looked at Yimo's eyes, and then she suddenly seemed surprised and joyful. He realized that she must have recognized him, but she just wasn't too sure due to the difference in appearance. Although he didn't have a good impression of her, Yimo still nodded but didn't say anything. Shun Yin's eyes made Xu Wei feel uncomfortable. It was as though she was trying to take off Yimo's clothes and see through him. Yimo, Xiao Wu, let's go. I still need to go to the hospital to see my mum, Xu Wei said. Xu Bingwu suddenly said, Sister, how is Mom doing? I was so worried. Seeing her brother's desperate eyes, she could only say, Xiao Wu, don't worry. Mom will be out of the hospital soon. Brother Yi will treat Mum. His medical skills are very good. Oh, so Brother Yi is a doctor. Xu Bingwu breathed at ease. He had thought his sister had had no choice but to find a sugar daddy. Hearing this, Shun Yin's eyes brightened up. She walked to Yimo and asked, Are you really a doctor? Yimo sneered, but he still didn't say anything. My uncle has been in bed for half a year. I want you to have a look at him, Magical Doctor Yi, Shun Yin said hesitantly. Yimo could tell what she meant, but a flash of disgust crossed his eyes. He waved his hand and said, Move aside, I don't want to cheat your family's money. It really is you, Magical Doctor Yi. I'm sorry, I was blind last time we met, and I suspected you were a fraud. Shen Yin held onto Yimo's leg and knelt down. Yimo pushed her away and said coldly, I'll repeat it again, your family's business has nothing to do with me. I won't help, no matter what you say. I don't need such a small amount of money from your family, and you wouldn't even be able to pay the medical bills. Everyone was shocked. They all knew that Shen Yin was from the Shen family, and no one would dare abuse the Shen family's people in Jin City. However, Shen Yin had knelt down to this man, and yet the man still had an indifferent expression. What shocked them the most was that the bearded man had said the Shen family couldn't pay for the medical bills. If the Shen family's was little money, then no one in the entire city was rich. The Shen family was one of the wealthiest families even in the whole country of China. What everyone didn't expect was that Shen Yin instead said, Sorry, Dr. Yi. I'm just grateful from the bottom of my heart that you saved my mom, Qingkue. I'm not asking you to treat my uncle. Her apology changed Yimo's view on her a little. Chapter 623, Horny Woman. Chapter 623, Horny Woman. Magical Dr. Yi, please forgive my insolence. If possible, I wish to treat you to dinner as thanks for my mother, Shen Yin said. Sometimes, what you learned from books was incomparable to reality. When you thought you knew everything and were sure that everything outside of your sphere of knowledge couldn't possibly exist, you would think that magical things like Yimo's charms would be nothing but a joke. But once you truly experienced something like it, you would realize that the joke was on you. At least Shen Yin felt that her state of mind and way of thinking had changed a lot ever since coming back, and she was no longer superficial and so full of herself. A police car soon arrived, and a policeman greeted Shen Yin before taking away Wei Qian and his gang without hesitation. Yimo knew that Shen Yin's family was quite powerful, but no matter what, he didn't want to be involved with them. Sorry, I already have arrangements for tonight. I'm going to Teng Wang restaurant. As for your gratitude, you've already paid me, so it doesn't matter. Yimo turned her offer down. Shen Yin heard this and desperately asked, Then how about tomorrow? Tomorrow won't work either. I'm leaving tomorrow. Let's go, Xu Wei. Then, Yimo turned around and left with Xu Wei and Xu Bingwu. Shen Yin knew that people like Yimo were hard to meet, and it was already luck amongst luck that she could see him twice. She only had one chance, and she wasn't going to let it go. He said he would be at Teng Wang restaurant, so she would wait at the door and just shamelessly join his company. Thinking about this, Shen Yin walked away with a hopeful face. Brother Yi, are you really a doctor? Xu Bingwu still asked in disbelief. Who in the university didn't know about Shen Yin's pride, yet she was that respectful to Yimo. Yimo must be a truly capable person. Yimo knew what Xu Bingwu was thinking and smiled. Don't worry, even if I didn't cure your mother, your sister now has enough money to cure her. Hearing this, Xu Bingwu looked at Xu Wei. Xu Wei could only say, Yimo is also a stone gambling master, and when he took me along, he won 6 million for me. What? 6 million? Xu Bingwu was dumbfounded. With 6 million, every problem their family had would be solved. Ting Wang restaurant, it was a rather luxurious place in Jin City. When Yimo arrived, it was already dark. Xu Wei's mother had had a kidney failure due to long-term fatigue. Yimo only needed 2 pills to cure that. All her mother needed to do now was to rest for a while. Xu Wei knew that Yimo would be busy in the evening, so she left him alone and stayed with her brother in the hospital. Yimo really was busy. Usually, he wouldn't want to waste time eating with merchants like Luo Zilian. It wasn't that he was arrogant, but that he wouldn't ever have any reason to interact with their lives. After this thing was over, he would probably go back to Luoyu to live there for a while and then go to the small world to find the bitter 10 years. With a place of his own, Yimo's only pursuit was to reach higher states of cultivation. The main reason why Yimo did come this evening was to ask them if they knew about the auction. If they did, he might find the 5-element rock that night. If they didn't, he would go find Pan Sheng. Not everyone would know about a high-level auction like this. The first person he saw at the door was actually Shen Yin. He immediately understood why she was there, but no matter what she had to say, he wouldn't help that easily. Magical Dr. Yi. Shen Yin quickly greeted. Yimo frowned. I'm not a doctor. I only treat people occasionally when I'm out of money. Brother Yi, I came to eat with you, so Shen-yin's face was blushing. She really was embarrassed. The young girl of the Shen family was shamelessly joining someone else for dinner. Yi-mo sighed. If he still didn't agree, that would be too cold, so he said, okay, come up together with me then. Hearing this, Shen-yin immediately rejoiced. Thank you, Brother Yi, for giving me this chance. Right at that moment, two people came out and quickly greeted Yi-mo. Mr. Yi, it's really nice to see you. When Hu Dan saw Yi-mo, the joy on his face was genuine. Luo Zilian followed behind and was also happy with Yi-mo's arrival, but they soon saw that another girl had come with Yi-mo. Miss Shen-yin from the Shen family. Luo Zilian recognized her immediately. Yes, may I ask who you are? Shen-yin didn't know Luo Zilian. Luo Zilian quickly replied, I went to Elder Shen's 90th birthday 2 years ago, and I saw you there, but you might not have noticed me. Because Yi-mo was the main focus of this dinner, the people got along pretty well, but Luo Zilian moved closer to Yi-mo from time to time, which made Shen-yin very uncomfortable. She felt like the woman was like a horny cat. She looked like an astute woman who fully utilized her privileges. Shen-yin knew that Yi-mo wasn't some bearded tough guy and felt that if someone of Yi-mo's level was seduced to bed by Luo Zilian it would be desecration, but she couldn't really start doing the same as what Luo Zilian was doing or say anything to Yi-mo. This made her very anxious. Shen-yin didn't doubt that Luo Zilian would be able to seduce Yi-mo to bed. She had been in the Shen family for too long, and she knew that the relationships of wealthy men and women were very promiscuous. There was no such man who didn't cheat, especially when confronted with a very mature and seductive woman. Hu Dan also saw what was going on and felt like he had made a wrong move. He should have gotten a beautiful girl to come too. Luo Zilian did indeed want to get Yi-mo to bed with her. She was an astute woman. Everyone had just brushed it off as Yi-mo being very capable during the day, but she had a different view. She thought that the reason why Yi-mo had had a 100% success rate and knew what was inside the rock up front couldn't be explained just by capability. He must have had some special way to see what was inside the rocks. Whether it was some special glasses or some high-tech thing, she wanted to get her hands on it. So what if she had to sleep with a big bearded dude for a few nights? As long as she could get it, she wouldn't mind sleeping with him for a year. Although she wasn't a woman any random man could take to bed, this bearded man had the right to have some fun with her. Chapter 624, Auction at Sea. Chapter 624, Auction at Sea. Yi-mo sneered. He of course knew what Luo Zilian was thinking. Although the dinner had just started, he already didn't want to continue. He said to Luo Zilian, Thank you, CEO Luo, for getting rid of those hoodlums. It saved me from being robbed. Luo Zilian was shook. She didn't expect Yi-mo to have noticed that. She had underestimated him. She had been planning on taking the less subtle approach if he didn't comply and letting him know that she helped him send away a lot of those gangsters. If she hadn't, he wouldn't even be able to leave the city. But now it seemed that he was no simple person, and his tone was even a bit sardonic when he mentioned the hoodlums. One could see that he wouldn't have had to be scared even if she hadn't intervened. Yi-mo went on to ignore Luo Zilian and raised the cup to Hu Dan and said, Brother Hu, I heard there's going to be a big auction in this city and that a colorful stone is to be sold. Is that the case? Hu Dan toasted with Yi-mo and replied, Was there such a thing? How come I don't know? CEO Luo, have you heard of it? Hu Dan was also unhappy with Luo Zilian being so horny. No, I didn't know either. Luo Zilian returned to her senses, but her reply was rushed. Yi-mo's words had made her feel like she'd lost control of the situation. According to her plan, everything should have been under her control. When Yi-mo came, she would get Yi-mo drunk and take him to her place and suck him dry. Yi-mo's words, however, had made her lose control. Shen-yin said, Brother Yi, it's usually my cousin who represents the Shen family to go to auctions, I can ask for you. Seeing Hu Dan and Luo Zilian not know about the auction, Yi-mo was disappointed. Theoretically, wealthy people like Hu Dan should be able to know about these high-level auctions, but even he didn't know. It would seem like this auction wasn't simple, or maybe that old man in Jiutang had been lying to him. Yi-mo nodded, Please call your cousin right away then. If he had been lied to, he wouldn't mind going back and taking everything in Jotang's gem banner. Shun Yin didn't call inside, she went outside to call. In the meantime, perhaps feeling a bit concerned, Luo Zillian didn't behave like before. Hu Dan said, I've heard of Shun Yin's cousin. She's the eldest daughter of the Shun family, a business genius. That elder Shun loves her a lot, and she controls all the businesses of the Shun family. She could be said to be the most powerful person in the Shun family other than Elder Shun himself. Now that Elder Shun died, though, the Shun family members have started fighting, and they didn't let her keep controlling all those businesses. Luo Zillian intervened. It's said that the eldest daughter of the Shun family is very ugly, but I don't know if that is true. Hu Dan laughed. This might be just gossip, but it is true that 2 years ago when the face-preserving pill appeared in Hong Kong, Elder Shun sent people to try to buy it, but they didn't succeed. At this moment, Shun Yin ran in and said, Brother Yi, that auction you mentioned does exist. It's about to start right now. It's on a cruiser at sea. My cousin just sent me everything, and she is there, but I'm afraid you're out of time. Yi Mo was angry. That Luo Yu tricked him indeed. He misled him in terms of the date, and if he hadn't met Shun Yin, he would have been fooled. Thank you, Shun Yin, I owe you one. I'll be leaving now, but I can help you with any one thing you want when I come back tomorrow. Thanks for the treat, Boss Hu. CEO Luo, see you next time. And Yi Mo had left. Yi Mo was very desperate. If the auction ended, he would probably not be able to find the 5-element rock again. The remaining 3 looked at each other. Shun Yin only then realized that Yi Mo had said he would help her with something and immediately felt like the world was great. Hu Dan was disappointed, but he was still happy to have met someone like Yi Mo. Luo Zillian felt the worst. She didn't accomplish even 1/10,000 of her goal, and she felt like hating Shun Yin with her whole heart, but Shun Yin was from the Shun family, and she couldn't mess with that. At this moment, on the international sea region near North Korea, a huge cruiser was slowly cruising. In the largest hall, a world-level auction was taking place. It was held by Hong Kong Auctions, the largest auction company in the world. They dared auction anything. The cheapest thing to have been sold there had a price tag of almost $1 million. This was a place for the rich. A place for the rich to burn money. You could sell anything there, as long as you could pay the auctioning price. Even if the item wasn't sold, you'd still need to pay the auctioning price. And if the item was sold, you'd have to pay a percentage on top of that. Their credibility was world-class, though, and all you had to worry about was getting the invitation. Those who could be invited were all global elites, and some countries even came incognito, because the auction didn't allow the direct intervention of governments. If you disguised as some wealthy person, however, no one would care. Right at this moment, an ancient Egyptian curse ball was sold for $50 million. Usually the auction would proceed at a constant rapid pace, but at this moment, it was different. An old, white man was standing on the stage, about to say something. He scanned everyone and said, Those who come to our auction are all global elites, and I believe that everyone knows the rules, yet someone still just sent a text message from the cruiser. Although our auction is open and just, we really don't want to see this happen again. You may contact people after the auction. Well then, let the auction continue. Shun Qianqian subconsciously shivered. She knew of the rule, of course, but she also knew that this was her last time coming to the auction. Ever since Elder Shun passed away, she had been handing over everything under her control, and although she had been able to come that evening, she couldn't buy anything. One message was a warning, but the second time, the Shun family would never be allowed to come again. A blonde girl wearing revealing clothes carried a silver plate and went on stage. The auctioneer was also a white woman in her 30s with a good face who looked very formal. The next item is a mystical GU bug from the Miao people of China. It's called a mind control GU, and it comes with some simple instructions. The starting bid is 30 million, and each increment must be no lesser than 1 million. 35 million. A screen was showing the bids. 40 million. 43 million. The price soon rose to 50 million. The final bid was 56 million. The winner was a man mostly covered with a black scarf, but the part of his face that was revealed showed a crater-like face. The blonde girl was shaking as she walked up to the man. The transaction process happened quickly. Then, another young girl wearing clothes on only 3 points of her body carried out a gold plate. Inside the plate was a jade box. Chapter 625. Borrowing Money. Chapter 625. Borrowing Money. The formally dressed woman held up the box and opened it before saying, "This is a milky white stone, and one can feel its spiritual properties when holding it. The Chinese call it a Kai stone. It's very helpful for those cultivating ancient martial arts and mutant powers. If you don't cultivate, you can wear it and it will make you very healthy." The stone emitted a faint white aura, showing its extraordinary properties. It was even prettier than white jade. The starting bid is 50 million, and each increment must be no lower than 1 million. The scene fell into a brief silence. The rock looked good, but this price was too absurd. 50 million wasn't very much to a lot of the people there, but it was no small number either. Was it worth it buying a rock for that much money? But still, some people didn't mind. 100 million. Almost everyone looked at the man who made the bid. It was the same man who bought the GU bug. Looking at his bleak outlook, those around him didn't dare make a bid. He brought it to 100 million in one bid, implying that those who competed with him would be his enemy. No one here wanted to have enmity with such a scary man over a not that important rock. No one would dare hurt anyone during the auction, but that wasn't the case after the auction was over. 100 million going once. 100 million going twice. Is no one else going to bid? The auctioneer was helpless. The person who owned the rock told them it would sell for a heavenly price, yet it stopped at 100 million. But she couldn't say anything to the man. Everyone knew that he was threatening people, but he hadn't really said anything. "How much per increment again?" A voice suddenly appeared in the scene. Shun Qianqian just realized that there was suddenly a bearded man next to her with a knife scar on his face. That person was Yimo, of course. If it weren't for the faint spirit Kai emitted by the rock, he would have taken a while longer to find the place, so he felt lucky. He had been planning on finding the 5-element rock above everything, but now he had to get this spirit stone first no matter what. Everyone heard Yimo's voice appear suddenly, but no one thought that he would have just arrived, as that was impossible. 1 million, Shun Qianqian replied. "Oh, then I'll bid 110 million, Yimo said. Hearing this, the woman smiled. "Sir, please have a seat and use the device on your chair to make a bid." Noticing that Yimo didn't speak English very well, Shun Qianqian quickly said, "There's an empty seat here. Sit down first and then you can use the device to make a bid." She didn't know how the bearded man had come in, but she had the ability to remember everyone who did, and she hadn't seen this big beard, so she thought, he couldn't have arrived only now, right? Yimo felt a little awkward. He was too excited just then. He had come to look for the 5-element rock, but he found spirit stones as well. He was too lucky. Yimo sat down and soon made his bid. He was competing with the bleak man for the spirit stone, so Yimo's actions caught everyone's attention. That man looked at Yimo and sneered, bidding 120 million without hesitation. Yimo wanted to keep making a bid, but Shun Qianqian said, "If that stone isn't extremely important to you, I suggest you don't make any more bids." That man isn't simple. Yimo scanned Shun Qianqian. She also wore a face mask, but Yimo didn't even scan her face. His mind was on getting the spirit stone no matter how extraordinary that bleak man might be. 130 million. Yimo's bid made people realize that this Kai stone had to be very extraordinary after all. Otherwise, there wouldn't be two people spending that much money to fight over it. The bleak man stopped making bids for some reason. He just glanced coldly at Yimo and kept his silence. The girl walked up to Yimo and asked Yimo to pay on the spot. Yimo just realized that he had given his card away. He had 700 million in cash, but he couldn't just suddenly take out a large pile of cash. Everyone quickly noticed Yimo's expression, and the bleak man sneered, "You're not here to cause trouble, are you? You made a bid, but you don't have the money." Chempf. He knew that the auction holder would deal with Yimo for sure. Even Shun Qianqian looked worriedly at Yimo. It could cost him his life if he was causing trouble there. There were guns everywhere. Yimo looked awkwardly at the people around him. Who can lend me 130 million? I promise I will return it quickly. Yimo didn't want to ask Shu Yuhua, because some governments knew their account, and if Shu Yuhua transferred the money, people would know that Luo Yu had bought the spirit stone. This wasn't the most important thing. What was more important was that Luo Yu was different from before. Luo Yu's money belonged to national reserves, so it wouldn't be good for him to take out that money for private use. Yimo's words made everyone silent. Then, quiet discussions started all around. If this happened elsewhere, perhaps it would be funny, but here, it would cost him his life. As soon as Yimo said this, armored soldiers came into the scene. Although Yimo could just take it and leave, that would be too embarrassing. That would simply be using his power to rob them. Everyone including Shen Qianqian didn't want to lend Yimo money. This was $100 million after all. Yimo really didn't want to fight as he still hadn't found the 5-element rock yet. He felt like Shen Qianqian seemed easy to talk to, so he said to her, "Miss, if you lend me 150 million, I promise I will pay you back 200 million. Seeing the genuine look in Yimo's eyes, Shen Qianqian explained nicely, "I'm sorry, it's not that I don't want to lend you, but we've never met before, and I don't have much money. I need the money for pills, so I can't lend that to you now." She had only saved up around $200 million after so many years of hard work. How could she lend it away to some random bearded dude? Her words were clear, but Yimo asked without thinking too much about it, "What pills do you want? Perhaps I have some." Chapter 626. Target found. Chapter 626. Target found. I want a face-preserving pill, Shen Qianqian sighed. She was prepared to leave. The reason why she had come was to try her luck and see if she could buy a face-preserving pill. Yimo clapped, "Perfect, I happen to have one. I'll give you the pill, and you help me pay that 130 million. Shen Qianqian looked at Yimo speechlessly. She didn't think there would be such a person. She might look soft on the outside, but she was pretty tough on the inside. Even though Yimo was like this, she still didn't want to curse him. She always tried not to offend anyone. The reason why Elder Shen had placed her as the controller of the Shen family businesses was partly due to her commercial capabilities, but mostly due to her ability to deal with people. But Yimo was being too oppressive. The people who heard this instantaneously started sneering. Who there wasn't an astute businessman? Who would believe such word? A very serious auction had become comical all of a sudden due to Yimo. Yimo took out a bottle with the face-preserving pill and gave it to Shen Qianqian. "Take a look. If it's what you're looking for, lend the money to me." Shen Qianqian took the bottle helplessly, but before she could even open it, 6 men with guns walked up to Yimo. "Sir, if you're not buying anything, please leave. This is not a place for you to cause trouble," the bulky man in the lead said as he grasped his gun tightly. From his tone, it would seem that if Yimo resisted even a little, he would open fire. Yimo sneered, "How much time do I have after winning a bid to close the deal?" 10 minutes, the girl holding the plate said in Chinese. "Has it been 10 minutes already?" Yimo asked coldly. "No." Yimo slammed the table, "Since it hasn't been 10 minutes yet, why are you coming at me with guns? Are you going to rob me? Can't you see I'm gathering funds?" "Gathering funds? Were you ever even planning on paying the money? You don't have any money on you and you're asking strangers for money. Do you think everyone except for you is an idiot?" A yellow-skinned man spoke. At this moment, Shen Qianqian suddenly said shakily, I will pay for him." Then, she immediately started performing the transaction. Everyone looked at this comical scene in shock. That girl actually lent the man the money. Those men with guns saw that the money had been paid, so they could only leave. Yimo never intended on teaching them a lesson. With the spirit stone in hand, Yimo felt very happy. He would ask where it came from later. Is this really a face-preserving pill? After everyone left them alone, Shen Qianqian asked Yimo shakily. Of course, do you think I'm lying to you? Yimo took the spirit stone and commented. No, but my grandpa took me to try to buy this pill once, but at first we weren't even sure if the pill was real and we didn't have that much money at the time, so we didn't get it. But I've seen the pill since then, And it does look exactly like this. Shen Qianqian was trying to control her excitement. Yimo nodded and didn't speak any further. He scanned his spirit sense around and didn't find the 5-element rock. I don't have enough money right now, but can you sell me this pill? Don't worry, I'll pay you however much is needed, Shen Qianqian said. Yimo smiled. Shen Qianqian blushed. I'm from the Shen family in Jin City, so don't worry, I will definitely dash. Yimo stopped her mid-sentence. You're Shen Qianqian? Yimo immediately asked. Yes, I'm Shen Qianqian. Do you know me? Shen Qianqian had never seen Yimo before. Yimo shook his head and said, I don't know you, but I was eating with Shen Yin a moment ago when I heard that you were at the auction here, so I came. What? Shen Qianqian looked at Yimo as though he were a ghost. He had been eating with Shen Qianqian a moment ago and now he was here? They were at sea. Yimo touched his nose awkwardly. He realized he'd spilled the beans. He had been in Jin City just then. How could he have come to the cruiser so quickly? Yimo shut his mouth and didn't bother trying to explain. Shen Qianqian also gradually calmed down and didn't ask how Yimo got there. Although she didn't know how Yimo had come to the cruiser and gotten inside, she knew Yimo was no ordinary person. How do you know Shen Yin? Shen Qianqian asked after a while. Yimo breathed a sigh of relief. He'd feared that Shen Qianqian would ask him how he got there. This one time, I was on the plane from San Francisco to Hong Kong, and I met Shen Yin there when I helped her mom Qing Kuei, Yimo said casually. What, you're that magical Dr. Yi, Yimo? Shen Qianqian got up subconsciously but quickly sat down upon remembering her surroundings. Yes, I am. Thank you for today. If you hadn't messaged Shen Yin, I wouldn't have known that the auction was here. Yimo had a good impression of her. She didn't ask what shouldn't be asked. Shen Qianqian came to understand why Yimo had something like the face-preserving pill. If he really could cure patients with charms like Shen Yin said, no wonder he had the pill. She had laughed it off when Shen Yin told her about him, but now that she saw Yimo combined with the information he'd accidentally spilled, she confirmed that Yimo was indeed no ordinary person. His face was most likely also a disguise, because it didn't fit Shen Yin's description. The auction went on, but Shen Yin noticed that Yimo had closed his eyes. He wasn't interested in anything else. She didn't disturb Yimo and carefully took the face-preserving pill. It melted instantaneously as cool streams started flowing across her body. Yimo noticed but didn't care. He had started searching every corner with his spirit sense. An hour later, Shen Qianqian felt like her face was crawling with ants. She carefully looked at Yimo before taking out a mirror and looked at herself. The large patches of red and black had become mere powder on her face. She wiped it, and it all came off immediately. A pristine face appeared on the surface of her mirror. Shen Qianqian couldn't help but tear up. For many years, she hadn't dared show her face. Now, her face had finally gone back to what it was before she got injured. She had been working so hard to earn money for the family just so that she could cure her face, and now, like a dream, she had obtained the face-preserving pill. Shen Qianqian subconsciously looked at Yimo and was full of gratitude. She wiped her eyes and said, "Thank you, Dr. Yi." Yimo's eyes remained closed, but he suddenly smiled and waved his hand. "Congratulations on removing the poison and getting your looks back. No need to thank me, you properly paid for it. You know my appearance was caused by poison?" Shen Qianqian looked strangely at Yimo. Even Elder Shen hadn't figured it out. How did Yimo know? "Did you forget that I'm magical Dr. Yi?" Yimo said casually, but his mood wasn't casual at all. He searched again and again, but there were no signs of the 5-element rock. Ladies and gentlemen, the auction ends here, and our next stop is Jeju Island. I hope everyone had a good time. Yimo became completely disappointed when the auction ended. Just when everyone was leaving, Yimo's eyes were filled with joy and surprise as he stared at a man with a camera on his chest. Chapter 627, Kill All. Chapter 627, Kill All. Shen Qianqian saw that Yimo wasn't in a hurry to go out, so she didn't go yet either. However, when almost everyone had left and she saw that Yimo still had no intentions to go, she said goodbye and left first. Yimo's spirit sense was locked onto that man. He had a camera hanging around his neck, but Yimo knew that the camera was hollow and had a small bag inside. His spirit sense couldn't see through it, but the bag covered something a bit larger than a fist. It wasn't the first time Yimo encountered things that could block spirit sense. The first time was that wooden cupboard in which the woman in the ghost building had been. And now, this camera also had a small wooden box inside. The man seemed to sense that someone was staring at him, as he looked around before going into the hall. Yimo took back his spirit sense, gasping at the man's accurate senses. Even Earth-level masters wouldn't be able to notice his spirit sense as long as it didn't cause large ripples. Of course, if there were large Kai ripples, they were much easier to be noticed. The man who held the camera looked like an ordinary person, yet he had noticed his spirit sense. Although Yimo hadn't seen what was inside the box, he was 90% sure that it was the 5-element rock. He didn't understand why the rock was in that person's hands without being auctioned, though. No matter what, that person wouldn't be able to keep it now that Yimo had found it. Thinking like this, Yimo got up and noticed only then that everyone had gone out already. He saw Shen Qianqian in front of him, so Yimo ran to catch up with her. Meanwhile, Shen Qianqian was stopped as soon as she walked out of the hall by that bleak man. "You're from the Shen family, aren't you? You're quite bold, daring to lend money to someone who wants to steal something that belongs to me. If I tell you that that man will die soon and that so will all of the Shen family, will you regret it? Heh, I heard you're ugly, but to me, as long as it's a woman, I can f***ck to death. As for looks, I don't care." Every single word the man spoke made Shen Qianqian shiver. Even though there were people nearby, the bleak man had said everything without hesitation. Everyone who heard this moved away and didn't even dare look at him. "You don't care, but I care. Look at your ugly face, even the maggots squirming in toilets are better looking than you. Are you trying to disgust me by standing here or something?" Yimo's voice sounded. Everyone heard Yimo's words, but no one dared to laugh. If they offended this man, perhaps the next moment, they would be drowning in the sea. No one would care if you died on this ship. Shen Qianqian was losing her mind. She had vaguely guessed who this person was by then and was getting more and more worried. After Yimo's voice sounded, she hid behind Yimo without hesitation. The bleak man glared cruelly at Yimo. He didn't think there would really be people in this world who didn't fear death. He hadn't even gone looking for Yimo, yet Yimo came up to him first. "Ha ha ha," the man laughed, "I didn't think I, Yang Wuliang, would be so unknown when I have only been out for a couple of years." The man was laughing, but his face didn't wear a smile at all. He suddenly stopped and then said word by word, "If I don't make you regret living in this world, I'm a dog." "Yang Wuliang? Which bug are you? I've never heard of you, but please stop insulting dogs." Yimo sneered and then spoke to Shen Qianqian, "Go inside, I'm going to burn this bug. I'll ask you some questions later." Yimo didn't know Yang Wuliang, but that didn't mean other people didn't know. As those few people standing far away heard the name Yang Wuliang, they immediately ran as far as they could. Soon, the entire ship was discussing Yang Wuliang. He hailed from Miaojiang and had the nickname of Kill All. All those who offended him were killed, and he dealt with women all the more cruelly. If that man really was Yang Wuliang, then what he'd said to Shen Qianqian was no lie. He never needed to commit the act of killing himself as he had tens of types of GU bugs that could kill for him. The reason for his face being like a crater was apparently a GU bug rebelling against him. But then as well, he simply killed that GU bug. In many people's eyes, Yang Wuliang was a demon. Perhaps demons would be more good-hearted than him. People didn't even dare look at the people he'd killed. Shen Qianqian heard Yimo's words and didn't dare stay there. When she heard the man confirm that he was Yang Wuliang, all the blood from her face went away. She subconsciously looked back at Yimo but no longer had the courage to talk to him. "Very well, you have balls." Yang Wuliang voiced an extremely angry snarl. He didn't expect this bearded man to remain so cocky even after he said his name. Even though this wasn't the right place to be fighting, he waved his hand and shot a few black rays at Yimo like lightning nonetheless. Meanwhile, 4 people were sitting in a luxurious room with a serious face. It was 3 men and 1 woman. The woman was less than 30 and had a clear face. She looked very academic. 2 of the 3 men looked Asian while one was a short, black man. The person who had the camera was among them. We just confirmed that the person who bought the mind-controlling GU is Yang Wuliang from Miaojiang. He's talking to the bearded man about the Kai stone as we speak, the woman said. Hearing this, one man asked, Sophia, have you found out who the man who bought the Kai stone is? When did he even arrive? How come we have no data of him? Sophia replied, not yet, but there's no recording on the cameras of the man entering the auction site. It's as though he just suddenly appeared, or he came in disguise. The auction party did say that one more person went out than the amount of people who came in. The man with the camera said, I don't think this man appeared out of nowhere. Was the surveillance camera tampered with? Let's not rush to conclusions first. Since that person spent a large sum buying our Kai stone, he must be an ancient martial artist. If he's from some hidden sect, we can talk it out with him. The other man nodded, we need to talk for sure, but now that he's been targeted by Yang Wuliang, we don't know how this will end. Yang Wuliang's a mad man, and we have important business this time, so we shouldn't mess with him for now. As for the bearded guy, he probably really did give the true face-preserving pill to Shen Yangyang. No ordinary person can take that out. Bobby, keep a close eye on that bearded man and Yang Wuliang. Yes, Captain Song Benlang, the short, black man replied and left the room. Then, the captain looked at the cameraman and asked, Cassie, did you really feel someone watching you before? Yes, definitely. I felt that person look very closely, like I was being seen through by him. I didn't dare stay outside, so I came in immediately, Cassie said worriedly. Song Benlang heard this and commented without thinking, Cassie, why don't you give the thing to Sophia and we let her put it inside her bra? We must keep the 5-colored rock safe no matter what. Chapter 628, Mysterious Metal Card. Chapter 628, Mysterious Metal Card. Before the black rays reached Yimo waved his hand, and sparks flickered. The black ray turned to dust immediately. Before Yang Wuliang could react, Yimo formed a grabbing motion in midair, and his Kai formed a claw, clenching Yang Wuliang's throat and dragging him to a distant corner. Yang Wuliang was scared *less. The bearded man clearly hadn't grabbed him, but he felt an invisible hand grab him by the neck. Was this the legendary Qi materialization? Yang Wuliang's heart fell into a glacier thinking about it. Yimo dumped him onto a metal board. Who are you? Yang Wuliang was no longer cocky like before. He asked that subconsciously, and as soon as he did, he realized how shaky his tone was. He had killed countless people in his life, but now that it was his turn, he feared death. Yimo sneered, weren't you going to kill me, huh? Now I'm here, so why are you asking me who I am? A mere yellow level dares be this cocky. Qianbei, I was blind, please have mercy, I'll do whatever you want. Yang Wuliang said without thinking. He didn't even dare look up. This bearded man could even see his power level, and he could materialize his qi. He had to be absurdly strong. Yimo took out a chair from somewhere and sat down, then he took out the spirit stone and asked, why did you want this? Wanbei should die, if I knew Qianbei wanted it. Wanbei don't talk garbage, I asked you why you wanted it. Yimo yelled. He felt strange. When he first tossed Yang Wuliang away, he was very scared, but now he didn't seem as scared as before. Yang Wuliang replied, this is called a Qi stone, and it has a very important use. When ancient martial artists are about to break through, they can shatter the stone and eat it to break through quickly without any side effects. Hearing this, Yimo was very disappointed. He thought Yang Wuliang had fought over it because he knew what it was. But the guy didn't even know how to use it properly. Were spirit stones for eating? Have you ever seen one before? Yimo asked. Yang Wuliang nodded, yes, my master got one before, and he used it to reach the earth level. Where did your master get it from? Yimo asked again. Yang Wuliang shook his head, that I don't know, but I can tell you where my master died, just please have mercy on me. Yimo sneered, have mercy? Easy for you to say. I didn't get anything at all after being threatened by you, and now you want me to forgive you? Qianbei, although you didn't get anything, I'm willing to give all my GU bugs to you, and I just got a mind control bug too. Before he finished, Emo stopped him. I'm not interested in your bugs. That's far from enough to save your life. Unexpectedly, Yang Wuliang laughed. Qianbei, Wanbei's WNGU sect has a cultivation method thanks to which I can use a secret way to become a Gaol if I die. You may not believe this, but I can swear it's the truth. Qianbei can kill me, but after I die and turn into a Gaol, I can bite back. Emo sneered. Is that your bargaining chip? That's far from enough to threaten me. I met a guy called Ren Shaw in Hong Kong. He also kept GU, and he threatened me too. What a pity, I burned his soul. Now, I meet someone else who threatens me again. It seems like your life ends here. I'll make sure to annihilate your soul too. Hearing this, Yang Wuliang's face changed drastically, and he asked worriedly, Qianbei, you killed Martial Brother Ren? Yang Wuliang knew Ren Shaw too well. He was the genius of the WANGU sect. Although Ren Shaw was his martial brother, he was much stronger than him. Yet, a genius like him died to this big beard and even his soul was annihilated. Yang Wuliang thought quickly and immediately knew that if what the bearded man said was true, then he might really be done for. Don't kill me, Qianbei, have mercy. My master had a lot of other treasures too. If you let me go I can tell you everything, Yang Wuliang uttered worriedly. Emo couldn't even be bothered to listen. He took out a lighter and pointed the fire at Yang Wuliang. Yang Wuliang was quickly enveloped in fire. Afterwards, Emo turned around to see a short, black man run away quickly and thought, there's quite a lot of small fries on this boat. Yang Wuliang was burning, and the GU bugs flew out of his body but none could run away. It was just as he had said though, his soul didn't die immediately, and it looked at the fire in terror instead. Emo sneered and turned Yang Wuliang's soul to dust with another fireball. Before it died, it still didn't believe how the big beard was able to see him. However, Emo immediately noticed that there was something he hadn't burned away. Emo picked it up, and it was a palm-sized metal card with some simple drawings on it. Emo couldn't figure out what it was, but even metal should melt under his fireball. This metal card had stayed fine and cool. Emo couldn't tell what it was made of, so he put it away for later research. The dust at the scene was blown away by the sea wind as though nothing had happened. That short, black man who had been watching him had never cultivated before, but he sure was quick on his feet. Emo didn't go find him immediately, he had more important things to do. He was going to find that camera guy and get the 5-element rock. Shen Qianqian had taken a shower and changed into a new pair of clothes. Although she still wore a veil on her face, she felt very different. If it wasn't for Yang Wuliang, she would be singing from joy. But due to that terrifying man, she was waiting for Emo anxiously instead. She was even thinking, if Emo got killed by Yang Wuliang, what would the Shen family do? But then she thought, since Emo was able to come here all the way from Jin City that quickly, he is definitely powerful. When she then saw Emo walk over slowly, she finally relaxed. Brother Yi, thank you for today. When we arrive at Cheju Island, I can take you around, there are many fun places to go. Now, let me treat you to a drink. Shen Qianqian didn't even mention Yang Wuliang, and her tone was very relaxed. This was her first time asking a guy out to play. But Emo wasn't in the mood to be drinking with her, so he smiled. It was no big deal, and I still have some things to do, so. Emo had been wanting to find that camera guy and had searched the entire cruiser, but when he finally found him, his heart sunk. The camera wasn't on him. Emo did find the camera in some room a moment later, but there were nothing inside. Meanwhile, that camera guy was gambling. Chapter 629, Unexpected Outcome. Chapter 629, Unexpected Outcome. By the way, come gamble with me for a bit. Emo pulled Shen Qianqian into the casino. Shen Qianqian didn't expect Emo would have such a hobby. To be honest, she really hated those who gambled. No matter how wealthy you were, if you loved gambling, you would lose it all, but since Emo wanted to gamble, she could only follow. Emo had become more careful after the camera disappeared from under his eyes. He wouldn't be as obvious around the gambling man as he had been with Shen Qianqian just then. He didn't want to startle them and lose the 5-element rock. If he could be noticed once, it could happen twice. He couldn't keep his spirit sense spread out constantly, but he could make it so that he would notice it if someone left. Yi Mo had pulled Shen Qianqian along to borrow her card. After he gave his card to Sister Yang, he hadn't gotten a new account yet. "How much money do you have on your card?" Yi Mo asked Shen Qianqian. As Shen Qianqian heard this, she confirmed that Yi Mo had no money, but she still owed Yi Mo money for the pill, so she would give him all the money she had on her if Yi Mo needed it. Thinking about this, she said, "I have 50 million left." "Then go buy 5-10 million chips." The smallest chip was 1,000 USD, while the highest was 10 million. If Yi Mo lost 5 times, he would have lost everything. Shen Qianqian wanted to remind Yi Mo, but thinking about the money as being all his, she couldn't control him. Although there were a lot of people at the casino, there weren't many sitting at the VIP tables. Most were sitting on the outside and didn't bet that big. Yi Mo saw the camera guy sitting at the innermost VIP table, and he seemed to be the croupier. Unlike in other casinos, you only needed to pay to play here, and the customers could be the croupiers themselves. Yi Mo wanted to make contact with that man, so he had to bet with him first. After he won all his money, he would talk to him. Once again, Yi Mo searched the ship carefully with his spirit sense but still didn't find anything. Right when Shen Qianqian came back with 5 chips, she saw Yi Mo frown up before he could even take the chips. "What's wrong?" Shen Qianqian asked. Yi Mo saw that the man he wanted to approach was leaving his seat and went to the bar not far away. Yi Mo coughed and said, "You go bet at the innermost table, I'm going to the bathroom." Shen Qianqian looked at Yi Mo speechlessly and could only come to the table herself. She couldn't follow Yi Mo to the bathroom, could she? Although she went to the table, Shen Qianqian did keep her eyes on Yi Mo and noticed that he wasn't going to the bathroom. Instead, he went to the bar. That man ordered a glass of red wine and started chatting with the waitress. Soon, Yi Mo noticed that the man had already glanced twice at a woman sitting in one corner. The girl looked very academic and had a cup of juice in front of her. The girl looked a little shy and seemed like the well-educated type. Accompanied with her sturdy and busty chest, she would make people want to do anything for her. So he came to chat up girls. That's what Yi Mo thought, so he walked up to that girl without hesitation. At the same time, he kept his spirit sense on the man. The man was dazed but immediately returned to normal and casually chatted with the waitress, but Yi Mo knew that he had looked at him more than once. The girl saw Yi Mo walk up to her and sat down. She was dazed and said in a soft and slow voice, "Sir." Yi Mo smiled, "Beautiful lady, thank you for calling me sir. Although I look a bit rough, I actually am indeed a very gentle man. I saw you sit here all by yourself, so I came to drink with you. You wouldn't mind, right?" "Why would I? Please have a seat." The girl blushed and was seemingly at a loss about where to place her hands, but there was a small smile on her face. Yi Mo laughed to himself. This girl was interesting, she blushed from talking to strangers. What Yi Mo wanted was for the man at the bar to come up to him and save the girl. Then he would be able to look for trouble with the man without his friends suspecting him. And thus, Yi Mo closed in on the girl and suddenly grabbed her hand. "Let me start the introductions. My name is Mo Ying, what is yours?" "Ah." The girl seemed startled by Yi Mo and quickly wanted to pull back her hand, but Yi Mo didn't let go. He kept his spirit sense on the man at the bar. But for some reason, the man didn't come. Had he misjudged something? Yi Mo let go of the girl's hand and sat down in disappointment. Seeing this, the girl quickly said, My name is Sally. Sorry, but I don't really like doing that with strangers." Yi Mo smiled and waved his hand. "No problem, I just like being straightforward. If there's a girl I like, I will chase after her, and unless Yi Mo wanted to say I won't leave unless I get the girl, but he suddenly paused. He thought something wasn't right. This girl was already blushing after exchanging only one sentence with him. She clearly appeared very conservative. But when he'd held her hand, she had only blushed and hadn't had any other signs. Her pulse and heartbeat should have risen, but that didn't happen. This girl was problematic, her blushing was fake. Thinking about this, Yi Mo sat down and grabbed her hand again, smiling. "So, unless I get the girl, I won't stop." At the same time, Yi Mo scanned the girl's body. Usually he didn't do that, But now that it was necessary, he did. Yimo scanned her body but never scanned below her waist, because he didn't need to. He had found the box again, it was in this girl's bra. Yimo wanted to laugh. He finally found it. No wonder that man kept looking over, they were conspirators. He wondered if that short, black man was with them too. Yimo's spirit sense noticed another thing. The girl also had a black sun badge in her bra which belonged to the Black Sun Empire. So it was an old enemy. Yimo sneered. Seeing the girl silently pull her hand away, he scanned the man too, and the man also had a Black Sun Empire badge. Furthermore, Yimo noticed small black dots in each of their ears. Those had to be communication devices. Don't do this. I'm leaving. The girl pulled her hand away and wanted to get up to leave. How could Yimo let her go just like that? Yimo would have taken the box out already if he wanted to, but he now wanted to put a spirit sense mark onto it to see where the HQ of the Black Sun Empire was. Sorry, I just like you too much. If you don't mind, give me the honor of one hug, and I will leave immediately. Yimo suddenly got up and said seriously. Yimo was sure she wouldn't reject that request. Chapter 630, Not Impossible. Chapter 630, Not Impossible. As Yimo expected, that academic-looking girl had a look of struggle in her eyes but eventually just looked down and didn't say anything. Yimo smiled and walked to her side, but before he even hugged her, she put one arm in front of her chest. Other people would think that she was protecting her chest, but both Yimo and her knew fully well that she was protecting what was hidden in her bra. Yimo grabbed the arm in front of her chest and lifted it up a little, just enough to block her vision, before saying, "Why are you so nervous?" "I just wanted a quick her." Yimo wasn't interested in hugging that type of woman. He just acted as though he did and took the thing out as quickly as he could. Then, he also put a spirit sense marked piece of gold inside. It was the 5-element rock indeed. Yimo was very excited. He dumped the rock in his ring and was no longer in the mood to talk to the woman. With his spirit sense mark on her, she wouldn't be able to escape. Seeing Yimo move aside without really hugging her like he said, the girl felt strange and looked up at Yimo in confusion. Yimo smiled. "I like people with initiative. With those who aren't willing, I won't force it. Since you don't like me, then never mind. I'll be in the casino, so if you want to come find me, you can come over at any time." Then, Yimo left. The woman looked on as Yimo left. Her face kept changing before she finally felt her chest and saw that the thing was still there. Then, she left. As the man Yimo cared about saw Yimo and the girl leave, he also got up and followed Yimo. Even though Yimo had left, he kept his spirit sense on that woman. He knew that the woman would meet up with her friends soon. What was left for him to do now that he had the 5-element rock was pretty easy. When Yimo came to the casino, he saw Shen Qianqian sitting pitifully in a corner with only one chip in her hand. There had only been 6 people at the table before, but now there were 13. "Why aren't you betting anymore?" Yimo asked. Shen Qianqian said speechlessly, "If you still hadn't come, I would have changed the chip back to money. This is my last 10 million. If I lose it, I won't have anything on me except for some small change." "You lost 40 million in one go? Also, don't tell me you only have this card." Yimo was surprised to see Shen Qianqian's talent for gambling. Shen Qianqian shook her head. "I didn't lose it in one go, it was in 4 goes. Yimo was speechless. Was there a difference? Seeing Yimo's silence, Shen Qianqian spoke again. "I can really only use this card, and that's only because I opened it in Switzerland myself. My cards in China never mind that." At that moment, the man following Yimo also came to that table. He didn't seem to pay any heed to Yimo and just squeezed in. The dealer saw the man come over and quickly moved aside, giving him his position. So they're together, Yimo thought and scanned to see the man had a Black Sun Empire emblem. Yimo sneered. "Give me the chip, I will bet." Yimo took the chip from Shen Qianqian. Shen Qianqian hesitated before saying, "I only have this chip left. How about we switch it to 10 chips of 1 million? She was scared that Yimo would lose it all in one go, and if Yimo really had no money on him like he said, then it wouldn't be good when they got to the island and she didn't have anything either. "No need, What are the rules here? Emo asked. Shen Qianqian saw people come over and quickly said, you bet on small or big, not on a specific number, so the odds are 1 to 2. However, if you bet on the tiger, you lose almost for sure. Only throwing 18 counts as a tiger. The other tigers aren't admitted here. Emo saw the man with 3 dice and didn't expect that the odds of losing a bet on tiger would be so high. Conversely, it now seemed that he would only need to bet once. The man picked up the black dice and put them in the cup. Many people started to focus their ears, but Emo didn't mind that and said to Shen Qianqian, don't worry, I'll just bet this once. Shen Qianqian sighed, thinking, you only have 1 chip, even if you wanted to bet more, you would need more money first. Suddenly, the man put the cup on the table. Many people started to place bets and soon there were tens of millions on the table. Emo took out the 10 million chip and put it on the tiger. Emo's actions shocked Shen Qianqian. She quickly pulled Emo back. I've never seen a single tiger come out. You dash haha, I know. But since I said that I'm only betting once and since the tiger has the highest reward, I want to go for it and try to win as much as possible. As soon as Emo said this, the people around him were speechless. The dealer stayed calm. He didn't believe anyone could cheat under such circumstances. Although no one said anything because they didn't want to offend Emo, many people did laugh at his insolence. However, the few people who knew that Emo had gone out with Yang Wuliang yet had still been able to come back fine knew that he was no simple character. Never mind, do as you wish. The money is yours anyway, Shen Qianqian uttered speechlessly. Emo smiled and didn't say anything. He could see that it was an 8 inside the cup and that the 3 dice were stacked on top of each other, but to Emo it was all too easy to make it 3 sixes. In order to ensure fairness, usually, a third party would remove the cup, and they wouldn't be allowed to use their hand. The bets were made, and the cup was about to be removed as the dealer smiled. He wasn't afraid of Emo leaving. Once you were in the casino, if you had money, you would want to continue if you lost. It was addictive. The dealer knew what the result of his shake was, 1 6 and 2 ones. The 6 was on the very top and the dice below were the ones. The cup opened, and the very top was indeed a 6. The one opening the cup was a young girl. When she carefully took away the first die, a second 6 was revealed. The scene was in an uproar. 2 sixes, if there was another 6, that would be a tiger. Seeing the second 6, the dealer's face changed. He had clearly shaken so that the second die would be a 1. How was it a 6? He was sure that no one should have been able to do anything, but the fact was that someone did. There was a master there. Before the man could stop the girl moved away the last die. 3 sixes, it was a tiger. An explosion of disbelief spread around the table. No one would believe that a tiger could have appeared without foul play, but the only person who could have wanted to cheat was the big bearded guy, but he had been nowhere near the table. Shen Qianqian looked at the 3 sixes, and it took her a long while to react. Her face got red with excitement, and she even hugged Emo. That win was $500 million. That was an unimaginable fortune to her. She had been working tirelessly in the Shen family for so many years and had only managed to earn $200 million. Yet now, Emo won $500 million in an instant. Chapter 631, Shen Qianqian's Plans. Chapter 631, Shen Qianqian's Plans. The dealer's face looked really bad, but he recovered quickly. He gave the dice to his partner and left. Emo knew that he must have been signaled to leave. Shen Qianqian grabbed the large pile of chips and put them on her plate. She looked at Emo and asked, should we keep playing? Emo smiled, no need, let's leave. He wasn't there for gambling. He was there for the Black Sun people. Since those guys were leaving, he didn't need to stay. Emo scanned around with his spirit sense and noticed that the woman and short, black guy as well as another man were gathered in one room. He wanted to go listen to what they were up to and find out what use the 5-element rock had for them. Seeing Emo and Shen Qianqian leave, everyone looked on with envy. Winning $500 million in one go was absurd. Go exchange the chips, I'm going to sleep for a while. Emo noticed that the place the dealer went to was where the 3 gathered. He wanted to check it out right away. Wait, after I exchange the chips, I'll give you the card, and then you can leave. Shen Qianqian stopped Yimo. She was worried about exchanging a few $100 million by herself. After all, no one was easy to deal with on that ship, and the money was Yimo's. Shen Qianqian knew that most of the people on board were no strangers to shady business. How else could they earn so much? Okay, but Miss Shen, I have a question I need to ask you. Most of the people on the ship have at least some bodyguards, so why don't you? Shen Qianqian was an easy target, yet she was by herself. Shen Qianqian fell silent and didn't answer. She exchanged the chips and then gave the card to Yimo. This is yours. The password. Yimo waved his hand. I don't need it. I said the price of the pill was 130 million, so I won't take a cent extra. As for the gamble, the starting money was yours, so the money we won is yours too. You can just go back and rest. Shen Qianqian hesitated and took the card. Okay, I'll take the money then. But, Brother Yi, do you have time now? If you don't have any plans, come drink with me for a bit. And if you're tired, you can rest in my room. It seemed that she had figured out that Yimo had no place to sleep. Before Yimo could decline, Shen Qianqian smiled again. Don't tell me you don't have time. When you came to the casino part just then, I smelled perfume on you. You probably came from the bar, right? If you can accompany women who are strangers, then since we already know each other, you have to treat me the same. Yimo scanned that room again, and the four were still gathered together. Since they were there was no rush. They couldn't leave anyway. Thinking like that, he nodded. Okay, let's grab a drink first then. What happened? Why did you call me over so desperately? The dealer asked. Cassie, our higher-ups have ordered us to leave immediately. Seeing the man come in, Song Benlang got up immediately. Cassie frowned. Why? That guy just won $500 million from us. It would be too easy on him to just let him leave. Moreover, we haven't even found out who he is yet. I was planning on doing that now. Song Benlang shook his head. There's no need to investigate him. He's not someone we can deal with. According to our intel and his performance at the casino, the higher-ups have determined him to be the person who stole our gold and most of our scientists on Black Star Island. How can that be? Cassie was shocked. Sophia said slowly, it's not impossible. Actually, we're certain it's him. Shen Qianqian might have had her face destroyed, but her body is still better than mine. And if she indeed managed to buy the face-preserving pill back then at the auction, then her face should have recovered by now. Yet still, that big beard didn't do anything to her. Instead, he supposedly wanted to chat me up. He gave me a very dangerous feeling. I think he's already suspecting me. He even wanted to hug me, but luckily he didn't in the end. Did you lose the thing? Cassie lost his mind. 500 million wasn't that significant, but if they lost the 5-element rock, that would be a huge problem. Sophia shook her head. No, it's still there, but I just feel like he's dangerous. Also, we have checked the recordings repeatedly, and that big beard wasn't present when everyone boarded the ship, yet he suddenly appeared in the auction room. That sounds just like the events at our gold vault. The two cases were really similar. Plus, how did the 3 dice turn into all 6s? He didn't touch anything but still turned the dices to win a tiger. This man is too dangerous. Sophia is right, this man is too dangerous. Although we don't know how he did it, but he's got capabilities that exceed what we can deal with. Luckily, we didn't lose the 5-element rock. The higher-ups did tell us to leave immediately, though, so someone else will be dealing with him, Song Benlang said. The black man suddenly said, yes, I suspect he even saw me when I was spying on him. He burned Yang Wuliang away with just a ball of fire. This man is very scary. Yimo kept scanning them with his spirit sense and found that they were still discussing something, so he didn't mind. As long as they didn't leave more than 1 kilometer from him, they wouldn't be able to get away. Furthermore, he had marked that woman especially, allowing him to sense her from up to 10 kilometers away. Shen Qianqian poured a cup for Yimo, but she drank 3 cups herself before putting her cup down and saying, before meeting you today, I didn't even know what I would be doing in the future. I was lost, and the reason why I could even come today was because the Shen family had one spot, so they sent me just to show that the Shen family still existed. Then she laughed at herself and drank another cup. If I told you I didn't bring any money to this auction, you wouldn't believe it. But that is the reality of it. That 180 million was all my private money that I managed to set aside over the course of all these years. The Shun family sent me over without even a bodyguard and froze all my cards in China. It seemed like the Shun family no longer needed Shun Qianqian for their businesses. Shun Qianqian sneered, "Brother Yi, when Auntie Qingkue asked you to cure her last time, she also used her own money. But even then, the card she gave you was still frozen by the Shun family. Then, Shun Yin asked many times for them to unfreeze it, but even though it was just some small money, the Shun family didn't want to give it to you. Auntie Qingkue saw through the Shun family and because of it didn't even return." Yi Mo was speechless. He didn't think that the card he got last time would actually have been frozen. No wonder Shun Yin always looked guilty. On account of it being thanks to her that he found the location of the auction, he wouldn't mind. "I like the feeling of managing businesses. I can only feel the value of my existence if I keep earning money." And Grandpa also said that he saw that I had only the businesses in mind, so he let me manage the Shun family. 60% of the Shun family's businesses were controlled by me, but how do they treat me now? I'm a Shun family member, yet my card was frozen. Luckily, I had some private money or I would have had nowhere to even cry. Shun Qianqian drank again, her eyes dulled. "I've just been a money-making machine for the Shun family all these years, and when I have no worth, they just kick me away. Yi Mo, magical Yokta Yi, no brother Yi, luckily I met you. I'm very lucky, this is enough for me." Yi Mo thought, doesn't Luo Yu lack a true business person? Shun Qianqian was a prodigy. The Shun family might be blind, but he could invite Shun Qianqian to Luo Yu thanks to that. Thinking like that, Yi Mo wanted to speak his mind, but then he heard a voice through the speakers, "Dear passengers and friends, we have arrived at Chizhou Island." Yi Mo was shook as he realized it was already day. He scanned that room with his spirit sense and found that the four were gone. The ship hadn't even docked yet. How had they left? Yi Mo got up immediately and sent his spirit sense out, while Shun Qianqian was laying flat on the table. Chapter 632, Inside the Wall. Chapter 632, Inside the Wall. Yi Mo looked at Shun Qianqian and felt helpless. He couldn't just leave her there, but he was sure that the four had left the cruiser. Yi Mo wasn't in a rush, though, as he was sure that they would still be on Chizhou Island, and he had marked the woman with his spirit sense mark. Considering that, Yi Mo used his Kai to dissipate the alcohol in Shun Qianqian's body and gave her a bracelet. He looked at her and said, "Wear this bracelet, find a place to stay and wait for me. I have some things to take care of, but I'll come back and find you." Shun Qianqian picked up Yi Mo's bracelet, and what she didn't know was that it was marked by his spirit sense so that he would be able to find her. She thought, why didn't he just leave his number? But soon, she understood. Yi Mo had boarded the ship mysteriously, so he didn't have an identity that actually allowed him to be there. Hence, he had to get off mysteriously too. Yi Mo had guessed correctly. A bit more than 10 kilometers from the dock, the four had gathered together again. "Sophia, take out the 5-element rock," Song Benlang commanded seriously. Seeing this, Cassie asked, "Is there a problem, Captain Song?" Song Benlang's face was very sullen. He took the wrapped item from Sophia and said, "I just got news that only Shun Qianqian got off and that the big bearded fellow disappeared. He disappeared suddenly, just like how he appeared suddenly before. I think that if we keep underestimating him we could lose our lives on this island." "I don't think we're underestimating him, we're taking him very seriously. But no matter how smart he is, he couldn't anticipate that we'd already have left the cruiser." Sophia shook her head. "I agree with Captain. That big beard is strange. At the bar, even when he didn't look at me, I felt like I was being watched." "That's right, I remember now, I had the exact same feeling when I had the camera. I'm very sensitive to telekinetic abilities. Could it be?" Cassie suddenly stopped. Everyone stared deadly at the hands of Song Benlang. He opened the wrapping, and there was no 5-element rock inside. It was just a piece of gold. The 5-element rock? Sophia's tone was shaky. She didn't expect the 5-element rock she hid in her bra to disappear and get switched for some gold. Who could have done the switch other than her? Captain, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Thinking about the torture methods the organization used, Sophia's tone was shaky. Song Benlang's hands were shaking too. They had been operating carefully to the extreme, but the five-element rock was still stolen from right under their eyes. He knew that Sophia couldn't have done it, unless she didn't want to live anymore, but he didn't say anything. Someone had to bear the responsibility for losing it. Sophia had brought the empty package there, so she had to be responsible. I believe this has nothing to do with Sophia, we've known her for so many years. She wouldn't do it, and even if she did, she wouldn't come back here. If I'm not wrong, it should be that big beard. He's too unmeasurable. Unexpectedly, it was Bobby, who rarely spoke, who helped her out. Sophia looked at him with gratitude. Cassie had a look of guilt for a moment, but then he immediately said, although we know Sophia wouldn't do this, the package was on her when it was stolen. I don't need to mention how hard it would be to switch it around, right? So even if we believe her, what about our higher-ups? Cassie, what do you mean? Sophia knew that Cassie wanted to put the blame on her. She immediately rebuked, this thing was always on you before I got it. When you took it out, no one saw it. Who knows if it was switched out already or not? Song Benlang and Bobby fell into silence. Sophia was right. Who knew if it was lost before or after Sophia got it? Cassie saw that everyone was about to suspect him, so he immediately argued, back at the bar, when Big Beard and Sophia were being intimate, perhaps that's when it was lost. Sophia retorted, Cassie, do you think it's possible to win a tiger without touching the table? To be honest, who has the most chances of making it a tiger? If I was the dealer, I could do it easily. Cassie was annoyed and sneered, you're saying I'm conspiring with him? I've been in the organization for so many years, I would dash. Song Benlang stopped him, okay, there's no point arguing here. If I'm not wrong, there must be something special about this gold. Perhaps he can even track us through it or something. We need to leave this place first. I believe the authorities will investigate this. Sophia and Cassie's hearts fell. Song Benlang didn't mention whose fault it was anymore, but they knew the organization all too well. Even though they clearly knew that they didn't do it, they would be heavily interrogated as long as there was so much as a sliver of doubt. Captain, what do we do now? Bobby spoke. Song Benlang took out a black rubber-like thing and put it on the gold. Then he gave the gold to them. I added a missile emitter onto this. I'll go give it to someone else and tell them to drive away in the opposite direction from us. Song Benlang walked out of the bar and came back after a short while saying, let's go now. Split up. I've given the frequency to our higher-ups, so as long as Big Beard follows the gold, there will be someone to deal with him. Then where do we rendezvous? Bobby asked. Nanji 123 Hotel, Song Benlang said and left. He didn't walk out far but dashed into a nearby supermarket and watched the bar from the glass door it had. The second to come out was Bobby. He called a taxi and headed towards the hotel. Then, Sophia came out and stopped a car. The car made a turn and left in the opposite direction. Not long after, Cassie came out. He looked around and also stopped a car, but he went the same direction as Sophia. Then, Song Benlang came out. He knew he had achieved his purpose. It was a fact that the thing had been lost, and even though he was sure it wasn't Sophia's or Cassie's doing, someone had to be the scapegoat. If Cassie and Sophia ran away by themselves, things would be much easier. And he was sure they would run away. Not everyone would be able to take the torture. Sometimes, people would rather die than endure it. Sophia and Cassie were substitutes, so if they had questionable loyalty, it would have nothing to do with him. He had finished his part of the mission and given the thing to Sophia. If it wasn't due to her fault, they would have succeeded. Song Benlang went back to the bar. He knew that no matter what, that place was safe. He wasn't in a rush to meet up with Bobby either, as he still had some things to do. He needed to give Sophia and Cassie some time to run. He had to make sure they left Chizhou Island so that he could report their tracks to the higher-ups. He would say that they had been sent out individually under his authority because he trusted them, but they ran away halfway. Like that, he would have no responsibility. But as soon as Song Benlang came to his room, he saw a big bearded man sitting there. He subconsciously shivered before hearing him say, "You're very smart. Your plan would indeed push away all responsibility from you." Chapter 633, Scam. Chapter 633, Scam. How can you be here? Song Benlang reacted very fast, but he knew he was done for no matter what. Without hesitating, Song Benlang was about to bite his teeth, but before he could, he was slapped in the face. The poison along with a few blooded teeth fell out. "Is your organization full of rats? Why do you like eating rat poison so much, huh? If I didn't know you guys had this strange fetish, I would have been screwed again," Emo sneered. Although he could save Song Benlang with a lotus life pill, he wouldn't want to waste one on trash like him. "Don't think you can get anything out of me." Song Benlang's Chinese wasn't as fluent as Sophia's. Emo sneered, "Tell me this. What is the relationship between the Black Sun Empire and Northern Sand?" Hearing this, Song Benlang's face changed, and he subconsciously wanted to bite his teeth again, but then he remembered the poison was already on the floor. Emo wasn't interested in waiting for him to reply. He just patted Song Benlang on the forehead. Song Benlang wasn't even yellow level, so it was very easy to make him talk. Half an hour later, Emo left the bar and took Song Benlang's communication device and GPS. As for Song Benlang, he was dead. Emo wasn't interested in chasing after small fry like Sophia or Cassie. He wanted to find out who the Black Sun Empire would have sent to deal with him. Also, even Song Benlang didn't really know whether the two organizations were related, but Emo felt that they probably were. He just had no evidence yet. What made Emo feel regretful was that Song Benlang and company were all just agents doing missions in the outside world. They didn't know where the HQ of the Black Sun Empire was either. They only knew that they would gather in a certain Japanese hotel when HQ summoned them. The location also varied. It seemed like Emo would need to catch some big fish to find out where their HQ was. Emo guessed that after he cleared Blackstar Island, the Black Sun Empire must have become much more wary of him. Messages kept coming into Song Benlang's communicator, but Emo was made to realize that he couldn't understand them, so he just ignored all of them and headed to the location Song Benlang had been luring him to. When he found that his spirit sense could no longer lock onto the target, he took out Song Benlang's GPS and located a barren beach. On the beach there was a body long since dead, and Emo knew it was the body of the man Song Benlang had hired to deliver the gold. The wrapped gold was no longer in his hand. There was only a signal emitter, and nothing else. There was no one around, so Emo scanned the area and came to the conclusion that his opponent must have found out that Song Benlang was killed by Emo. Without enough confidence to face him, he left. He probably took the gold Emo had marked with his spirit sense for research. Emo wasn't all too disappointed, he got what he came for anyway. He knew that even if that person hadn't retreated, he would have just been able to kill one extra person. Emo left the beach and headed to find Shen Qianqian. He would ask her if she wanted to go to Luo Yu. When Emo found her, he found her outside a store in the middle of an argument with someone. The veil usually covering her face was gone, and she looked very angry. "What's going on?" Emo squeezed over and asked. Shen Qianqian saw Emo come over and quickly went to his side. "These people are really shameless. I know this store, and it's very reputable for never having sold fakes no matter where. Yet after two women bought something here, they said it was fake and requested a refund. When the police came, they completely listened to their story and helped the two women take the store owner away and even asked the store to close down immediately. The store also had to pay the two women back 10 times over." Emo just realized that they were in front of Luo Yu's store. If it was someone else's business, he wouldn't be able to be sure that they weren't selling fake products, but his business definitely wouldn't. "Where's the store owner?" Emo asked. "Here I am." A youth with a slap mark on his face walked over. There was anger clearly visible in his eyes. Emo looked at him and said, "Who hit you?" "That woman's husband. That woman framed us, saying we were selling fake beauty pills. Even though when they bought it, I told them to check it on the spot, but they said that they trust our store, so they don't want to. Then, after taking the pills away, they came back and framed us for selling fakes," the youth explained. Yimo nodded. In that case, shouldn't you slap them back? Huh. The youth looked at the man next to the two women with hesitance. That guy looked way too buff. If you don't want to hit them back then never mind, but you'll have been hit for nothing. Yimo wouldn't fire this person, but he really didn't like overly timid people. Hearing this, the store owner manned up and charged over, slapping the offender. Although the store owner was pretty fast, the man was still able to react, but as soon as he did, he found that he wasn't able to move. Slap. Seeing the event, the two policemen were about to come over to arrest the store owner. But then Yimo stepped up and said, "This is a store of Luo Yu. If you dare arrest its store owner before being certain that he was the one in the wrong, you will be challenging Luo Yu. If you do, then don't blame Luo Yu for retaliating." They immediately stopped their steps. If this matter was blown up to challenging Luo Yu, they wouldn't dare take the blame. When Luo Yu was attacked by the US and its alliance, they ended up paying large ransoms to Luo Yu. They had heard that the city lord of Luo Yu was very protective too, so if they got Luo Yu annoyed, that wouldn't be a joke. The people around saw the whole thing and started rumbling, especially those two women. As though feeling that he shouldn't be threatened like that, one police officer said, "No matter what, it's wrong to hit people. We need to take him away." The store owner heard this and said in Korean, "When he hit me first, why didn't you take him away?" Yimo saw that the two policemen were speechless and sneered, "Someone came to make fraudulent claims, yet you police instead take away the innocent and ask Luo Yu for compensation. What logic is this? I'll tell you right now that if you don't compensate Luo Yu before night falls and report whatever TV channel may be responsible for this, Luo Yu will leave South Korea. South Korea will no longer be a friendly nation of Luo Yu." Hearing this, the people around laughed. Who did this big beard think he was? The city lord of Luo Yu? The police felt that they looked bad being threatened by Yimo, so they were going to take the store owner away. But before they did, Yimo told the store owner, "Ask the two women why they took fake medicine to frame Luo Yu." The store owner wasn't able to react, but Shen Qianqian was also there. She didn't know why Yimo wanted to ask that, but she still spoke in fluent Korean. "You obviously bought the real beauty pill, so why are you using fakes to frame the store?" Many people laughed at the idiotic question. Who would admit to that? Chapter 634. Is Luo Yu easy to mess with? Chapter 634. Is Luo Yu easy to mess with? But what truly shocked everyone was the two women's reply. One woman said, "It's because someone gave us 50 million won and told us to buy a box of pills here and then switch the pills with the fake ones they gave us. We did not only get the 50 million won in exchange, but also the beauty pills." "Yes, that's the case," the other woman said. Right after they said this though, the women recovered and thought it incredible that they had admitted that. They quickly covered their mouths, but it was too late. "Are you crazy? How can you admit to that?" the man yelled. They really admitted it. People looked at them like they were idiots. These three idiots just said this shop sold fake medicine, yet immediately afterwards, they admitted that they were lying. Only Shen Qianqian knew that it had something to do with Yimo, and she wondered what can't Yimo do? The two policemen could no longer take the store owner away and could only take away the three who caused trouble. "We won't leave it at that," the store owner said. Yimo frowned. He found the whole thing very odd. Which idiot would do something like this? How would it benefit them? Shen Qianqian also felt like it was abnormal. She looked at Yimo and said, "Yimo, I didn't know you were so patriotic. I know Luo Yu came from China, but why do I feel like there's more to it?" Yimo ignored the store owner and pulled Shen Qianqian into a meeting room and then said, "I'm just looking after my own stuff. I am from Luo Yu, look." Then, he took out a proof of identity as Luo Yu's head engineer. He didn't take out the presidential badge. You're really from Luo Yu?" Shen Qianqian asked in shock. But soon she thought, no wonder Yimo could take out a face-preserving pill. Yimo took out his phone to charge it and then said to Shen Qianqian, "If you don't want to stay in Jin City, why don't you come to Luo Yu? I'm sure that with your capabilities you could get your hands on the head of commerce position." Shen Qianqian stared at Yimo with her big eyes and pointed at him after a while, So you're a higher up of Luo Yu. You said you came to find me before. It must have all been a plot. You want me to work for you, right? Yimo approved of her brains. She had already connected the dots. He smiled bitterly. Yes, when I saw that you weren't living well in the Shen family, I wanted to convince you to go to Luo Yu. Of course, it's fine if you don't want to. Shen Qianqian suddenly got up excitedly and grabbed Yimo's hand, who said, I don't want to go, I want to go very much. Please help me, I must go. You really are my lucky charm. You gave me the face-preserving pill and now, you will help me find work in Luo Yu. I'm too happy. Shen Qianqian was very happy indeed. She had long since planned to go to Luo Yu but didn't have a way, so now that Yimo gave her the opportunity, how could she reject? Okay, don't be so hasty. Yimo unlocked his phone and was preparing to call Xu Yuhua, but as soon as he opened his phone, he received a call. Second brother, what's up? It was Xu Ping. He rarely called, so Yimo cared about him calling. Seeing that the call had gone through, Xu Ping immediately said, Third brother, if we still hadn't reached you, I would have had to declare war on Indonesia. Yimo smiled, Second brother, stop joking. Now is different to before, we can't just casually start wars. We're not strong to the point where we can fight whomever we want. We need a reason to fight. Before Xu Ping said anything, Xu Yuhua took the phone. President, it's me, Yuhua. What's up, Sister Yuhua? Yimo felt that things didn't seem right. Xu Yuhua was rather calm as she said slowly, over the last 2 days, our outlets in different countries have been experiencing some problems. The stores of more than 10 different countries have reported that people were framing us, claiming that we were selling fakes. A few of them have even been knocked down. Yimo's eyes went cold. Things weren't as simple as it looked at first glance indeed. There was obviously someone behind this. Those who didn't know the truth would think that there really was a problem with Luo Yu. What's the exact situation? Yimo asked again. Xu Yuhua replied, 3 stores were cracked down in 3 countries where the workers weren't hurt, but in Indonesia, 6 people died. We've closed the store there, and the personnel has come back. Brother Xu is in favor of attacking Indonesia. Although I'm also very angry, I don't believe it very suitable to declare war for just that. Yimo sneered. He knew there were parties that didn't want Luo Yu to develop too rapidly. These means would be effective against other countries, but not against Luo Yu. Thus Yimo said, Sister Yuhua, concerning the countries that didn't deal with the situation in our benefit, immediately take all of the products we sell there out of circulation and shut down all military and commercial relations with those countries. At the same time, if they have any businesses in Luo Yu, shut those down too until they realize their mistake and pay us enough compensation. Okay, Xu Yuhua agreed without hesitating. Luo Yu never had to feel troubled about marketing. When Luo Yu pulled out from a country, the one that should be worrying was that country and not Luo Yu. And Xu Yuhua knew that halting military and commercial relations meant that those countries wouldn't be getting their interference machines even if they had paid for it already. What about Indonesia? Xu Yuhua knew that Yimo wouldn't let that country go easily. Although Luo Yu had almost 300,000 immigrants, it was still far from well populated, and the citizens didn't have enough solidarity. Thus, Xu Yuhua didn't want to solve things through military means. As for Indonesia, Yimo's tone went cold, halt all of our businesses there and kick their businesses out of Luo Yu. At the same time, stop all relations with them and ask them to compensate 70 billion Luo Yu dollars. Xu Yuhua took a deep breath. The Luo Yu dollar had about the same worth as the euro. This was 90 billion US dollars. Xu Yuhua was sure that Indonesia wouldn't pay that. I don't think they will compensate that, Xu Yuhua said worriedly. Yimo sneered, of course I know they won't. Make a global announcement that when Luo Yu was in the beginning of its development, Indonesia conspired with pirates to attack Luo Yu. We have evidence and many people who are still in captivity. We'll show their faces on TV. Say that Luo Yu had been trying to keep harmony with Indonesia, didn't take things personally, and even sold them some technology. Yet this is how they repay us. They trashed our stores and killed our employees, yet their government not only refuses to punish the criminals, but instead it points the blame at Luo Yu. And under such circumstances, Luo Yu still chooses to resolve things peacefully and only asks for compensation. Xu Yuhua understood where Yi Mo was going, and she immediately asked, "What about the union? We'll report our losses to them and tell them that our $20 billion research project was destroyed in Indonesia," Yi Mo said. "Of course, everything we do needs to be reported to the world. Also, I do want you to say that if Indonesia does not respond within a week, Luo Yu might use military means to resolve the issue." Yi Mo's tone was very cold. "What?" Xu Yuhua's hands shook, and her phone almost fell. "What?" Shen Qianqian was dumbfounded. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.